a veteran as he struck out the side. Gooden went on to shatter the rookie strikeout record and became the youngest recipient of the Rookie of the Year award. The following season, Dwight put up some of the most dominating statistics the sport has ever seen. The right-hander won the pitching triple crown with 24 wins, 268 strikeouts, and a microscopic 1.53 earned run average, becoming the youngest pitcher to win the Cy Young Award. Over his storied 11-year Mets career, Doc Gooden captivated New York and stymied opposing teams, amassing over 1,800 strikeouts. His larger-than-life image graced the New York skyline, and his extraordinary punch-out totals inspired the Shea Stadium K-Corner. Mets fans will always remember the Doctor's explosion onto the baseball scene and the apparent ease with which he dominated the National League.
Our final inductee was one of the most feared and respected sluggers of the game. Drafted out of Crenshaw High School in Los Angeles, his menacing presence at the plate helped transform the Mets into perennial contenders. Entering from where else? Right field, Daryl Strawberry.
Daryl Strawberry's majestic swing launched dramatic tape measure home runs that bounced off scoreboards, got stuck in stadium roofs, and catapulted the Mets over their competition. In 1980, Daryl Eugene Strawberry was drafted #1 overall, and he lived up to the hype in his debut season of 1983, snagging the National League Rookie of the Year award. The lanky lefty became a regular at the All-Star game with 7 consecutive appearances during his 8-year Mets tenure.
Swung on, hit in the air to right field, fairly deep, Evans going back at the wall. Goodbye, home run! Daryl Strawberry, 7-5, New York.
Blessed with a rare combination of power and speed, Daryl Strawberry joined baseball's 30-30 club in 1987 with 39 home runs and 36 stolen bases. He went on to earn Silver Slugger awards in 1988 and 1990 with a deadly swing that earned the respect of pitchers around the league.
There's a long drive. That ball hit the top of the stadium.
Daryl Strawberry, the greatest slugger in Mets history.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mets Hall of Fame class of 2010. We begin our presentations with the inaugural Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award, established to honor those who have left an indelible mark on the Mets organization, exhibiting the highest level of dedication, achievement, and service to the franchise and its fans. The recipient of the first Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award, fittingly, is an original Met who joined the organization prior to the 1962 season, serving as a ticket seller at the old Hotel Martinique. He rose through the ranks to a vice presidency with the club and now serves as a consultant to the team. The inaugural recipient of the Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award, Robert A. Matt. And now, the 4 members of the Mets Hall of Fame class of 2010 will receive their plaques. Each inductee will be welcomed into the Mets Hall of Fame by a teammate and friend who shares this honor. At the conclusion of each inductee's remarks, his plaque will be unveiled in the Mets Hall of Fame. Our first inductee was the architect behind the Mets' achievements in the 1980s, the most successful general manager in club history, whose Mets teams won 984 games, General Manager John Francis Cashin.
Thank you. You can see all the help I got. I wanted to thank the Hall of Fame committee for voting me this very singular honor. And I also want to thank the fans of New York and the surrounding environs who followed this team and set new attendance records, being the first franchise in the East Coast and virtually the whole country to ever draw 3 million people to the ballpark. So thank you, New York fans. You know, at a time like this, you always look around and you think of the guys that helped you get here. And I think today of people like Al Harrison, who was my assistant twice in Baltimore and again in New York, and made me a better general manager every day that he worked with me. And I think of Harry Minor, who was our veteran scout, although he was as much a coach as he was a scout, who first mentioned the name of Daryl Strawberry to me soon after I joined the club. And I'm happy to see Bob Mann rightfully honored here today. He was a part of that great teams that we had. You know, it's one thing to go into Hall of Fame. It's another to go in with such established company. Davey Johnson, a great pal of mine from way back in the minor leagues and then with the Orioles and eventually with the Mets. And to go in with 2 of the greatest players that this city has ever known in Daryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden makes it very special for me. And I would tell you today that the real Hall of Famer was my wife, Jean, and our 7 children and a couple of handfuls of grandchildren are sitting right over there, and I'd wish you'd give them a big hand. You know, I have to say that Jean was the most valuable player in our house. She drove the kids to school, to the doctors, to Little League practice, to practice for everything they did in school. And meanwhile, I was flirting around the country following people in little knickered uniforms that played this little ball game that we lovingly called baseball. And it was she, I said, who was the real Hall of Fame. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out. It's great to be here with this big.
Our next inductee led the Mets to a winning record in each of his 7 seasons as Mets manager. His teams posted 595 victories, more than any other skipper in team history. Longtime Mets manager David Allen Johnson.
You know what? It was a great thrill in my life to come to New York and have the opportunity to manage in front of the most intelligent fans in all the world. All I had to do every day was listen to the radio, and I knew exactly how I was going to manage the team the next day. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The other thing great about managing in New York is, you know, if you don't win, you don't really like us a lot. You know, and it really makes you every day come to the ballpark and try to get better. And I think that's what happened to us. I know Dwight talks a lot about it, how it helped him when he went on the mound because everybody was putting up Ks. And it just got the umpire on his side. It got the adrenaline flowing in him. But to come and manage in New York, I tell you, it was a challenge. And it was one that really kept you on your toes. And it was some of the greatest years in my life. And I always think back, and I think back at '86, and I remember what a great year that was. And the one lesson we all learned from that year is no matter what in life, you always have a chance, no matter how bleak it looks. And when we came back and won the 6th game in the '86 World Series, I think that gave life to everybody all around the world. And I thank you for it. And thanks for this great honor.
Our third inductee is still the youngest pitcher in All-Star history and ranks among the franchise leaders in nearly every pitching category, including 157 victories, 23 shutouts, and 1,875 strikeouts. The Mets ace, we called him the Doctor, Dr. K, pitcher Dwight Eugene Gooden.
Thank you. This is really, really amazing. And it feels so good to be home. Like Davey mentioned, the success I've had here in New York wouldn't have been possible without the support of you, all of you, the fans. Always supporting me on and off the field. And it was no better feeling when I took the mound and I had 2 strikes on the batter and all you guys were standing and clapping, wanting that 3rd strike. You know, most of all, you guys, a lot of times when I took the mound, if I didn't have my best stuff, You guys gave me the extra adrenaline to bring the best out of me that particular day. So today I say thank you. I appreciate all the support. And a part of you will be going into the Mets Hall of Fame with me. Also, at this time, I have to say to my mom, I love you very much for all the support, for always being there, and putting me in the best situation to fulfill my dream, and that's playing Major League Baseball. Thank you, and I love you. To my kids, Dwight Jr., Ashley, Ariel, Devin. I have a lot of kids. Stay with me. Darren, Dylan, Milan, and my grandson, Emir. I love you guys very much. Thanks for all the support. And thank you for just allowing me to be dad and granddad. To Gary, my nephew, it was just great. And at a time or another, sharing the same bed with you as kids. I thank you for all the support and the support you're still giving me. You've been a tremendous influence on me as well, even though I'm the uncle. I just say thank you, and I love you very much. You and your lovely wife, DeLeon. Also, I thank all my friends and family that took the time to drive here and fly here to be with me and share this tremendous moment. Thank you very much, and I say thank you to the New York Mets organization. Thank you.
Our final inductee still leads the franchise in home runs, runs batted in, runs scored, extra base hits, and walks. Nobody turned away when he came to the plate. Slugging outfielder, Daryl Eugene Strawberry.
Well, they told me I only had 2 minutes, so I got to be short here today. First of all, I'd like to give honor to God and thank God for my life and who I am today. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the Wilpons for making this day possible for me to be inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. Also, I'd like to thank the organization, from Omar and everyone else throughout the organization, Jay Horwitz, Lorraine Hamilton, all the wonderful people that I see when I come around here that's been a very impact on my life. Also, I want to say congratulations to Davey Johnson, Doc Gooden, Frank Cashin for being inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. Also, I'd like to thank my family that's here, my 2 brothers, my kids, my oldest DJ, Diamond, Jordan, Jade, Jew, and my stepson Omar, and my brother Michael and Ronnie. My godparents that are here, the Leonards, my in-laws that are here, thank you guys for coming today. And most of all, I thank God for my wonderful wife, Tracy, who has been the most important part of my life and what I do today. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I'd be. Thank God for her. And I'd just really like to say to the fans of New York, there was nothing greater than showing up at Shea every night to perform. You guys were there 100% behind us as a team, and you guys believed in us, and you had the spirit, just as we as the players had, never quit. And I think that's the reason why we were so successful so many years. I think '86 was the greatest year of my life to be able to play in the World Series and win the World Series. And as I stand here today and being inducted to the Mets Hall of Fame, there's no question or doubt in my mind, this is where it all started for me. Being the #1 draft pick in the 1980, coming to the big leagues in '83, on a bad team in '83. Then Davey Johnson took over, and guess what? We went forward. I will always remember the challenges I had as a player. I always remember what it's like to play in front of the great New York Mets fans. And to my former teammates that's sitting here, Gary Carter, Mookie Wilson, Rusty Staub, Keith Hernandez, Doc Gooden, I love you guys. We shared so many great memories together. We played great baseball for the New York Mets fans for so many years. And we are so honored that we're a part of the '86 championship team and that we continue to go forward and do great things in the city of New York. God bless you all. Thank you for all my friends and family that showed up today. I love you, Met fans. Thank you. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mets Hall of Fame class of 2010, Frank Cashin, Davey Johnson, Doc Gooden, and Daryl Strawberry. And congratulations to Bob Mant, the inaugural recipient of the Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award.
Today has been a day of great honor for the Mets organization. 4 new members of the Mets Hall of Fame, and all singular figures. The architect of the Mets championship in '86, Frank Cashin. The winningest manager in Mets history, Davey Johnson. The greatest phenomenon in Mets history, Dwight Gooden. And the greatest slugger in Mets history, Daryl Strawberry. All inducted today into the Mets Hall of Fame. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you. Keith Hernandez will join us in a little while as the Mets and Diamondbacks play the rubber game of their 3-game series. But what a special day this has already been here at Citi Field, as the Mets have honored 4 of the most remarkable figures in their history, all inducted today into the Mets Hall of Fame. And I know that for all 4 of them it's been a special day, but I think particularly for Dwight Gooden, who has been welcomed back into this organization with open arms. And what a moment it was for all 4 of these gentlemen when they were inducted.
Gary, I don't know. I must be getting old because I'm getting emotional at all kinds of things now. And to see Dwight back here in Flushing and the welcome that he got, just remarkable. I'm thinking about charting all of his games in '84 and '85. You called him the phenomenon. It was just unbelievable to chart a game where he would strike out 15 and throw 104 pitches. And Daryl Strawberry, watch him every night. My teammate hit home run after home run to help me win a ball game. Frank Cashin, who thought enough of me in 1982 to say, you know what, let's take a chance on that Ivy League kid who comes from the Texas Rangers. And Davey Johnson, who told me in 1983, when I was with the Tidewater Tides, kid, you keep throwing like that, you'll be with me when I'm managing the big ball club in New York in 1984. I was like, Davey, you know you have the job already? Not really, but I know I'm going to have it, because he always had that confidence.
What was very nice about the ceremony today, not only the way it was presented, but also the fact that a lot of the Mets players were watching this ceremony avidly from the Mets dugout, hanging over the railing, and you know they had to be thinking, you know, be nice to be put in that company.
You know, I think for the player today, especially the Mets player, they've gone through a 2006 season, which was remarkable, really a hit away from going to the World Series, that they want to be there. That's what it's all about. And in this city, I can tell you that I am recognized everywhere, not because I was a good player, not because I was a great player, because I was on a winning championship team. And Dwight Gooden and Daryl Strawberry, of course, some of the greatest players that have ever laced it up here in New York City.
Well, the Mets will take on the Diamondbacks here today in the rubber game of a 3-game series, trying to get a very important victory here today before heading off to Atlanta.
Well, I think it's vital. You know, they beat the St. Louis Cardinals, won that series. They need to win another series. You really need to grind out these series. And when you watch the game today, Jonathan Neese has been outstanding since coming off the disabled list. He's 6-2. He's been outstanding. The ERA microscopic, and just has been as steady as any Met pitcher all season long. And going against Daniel Hudson, who came over from the White Sox, a guy that has walked a lot, as his early season has attested to, but he's a guy that has a great arm, he's a guy that has a great sinker and slider, and he's trying to make his mark here, as many are after these trades with the Diamondbacks.
So the Mets and Diamondbacks finish off their series. The Mets try to draw inspiration for those who have strode in the pantheon before them. Mets and Diamondbacks, all the action coming up on SNY. By Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Order an inspired Domino's pizza at Domino's.com and track it all the way to your front door with Domino's Tracker. By Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. And by Toyota, moving forward. Join the Mets at Wrigley Field over Labor Day weekend, September 3rd through the 6th, with an amazing getaway to Chicago. Meet players, get game tickets, and much more. Call 888-419-5556 or visit Mets.com to book your trip today. John Neese getting ready to face the Diamondbacks on a cloudy Sunday afternoon. First pitch coming up from Citi Field, dead ahead. Beat for the first time in 5 tries. Kelly Johnson's had a good series, so has Chris Young. Justin Upton, nobody's getting him out right now. Stephen Drew back in the lineup despite the Mets starting a lefty, and John Hester gets his first start of the series, just recalled yesterday.
Well, 2 starts ago, Jonathan Neese had a no decision against the Arizona Diamondbacks, gave up 3 runs in 5 innings pitched. But can I tell you, what a remarkable season he's had. Hopefully he'll finish it strong here in August and September. Getting the first start in August. Outstanding numbers for Jonathan. See the Lexus Mets defense, Feliciano getting a start today because of that brilliant triple he hit to win the ball game yesterday. Pagan and Frank Cora getting a start. Right Reyes Cora in there. Jerry has not been that happy with the production from second base. He's going to start Alex today. Davis and Tolley getting the start behind the plate.
There's Daniel Hudson making his way in from the bullpen, ready to make his first start for his new team after coming over in a trade from the White Sox in the Edwin Jackson deal. John Neese has made 10 starts now since coming off the disabled list. 6-2 with a 2.58 ERA. He's been as good as anybody on this staff. In fact, he has more wins than anybody on the staff since he's come back.
And, you know, as a rookie, he's been able to avoid all the noise. Just goes out and does his job every 5th day. He's been outstanding.
Chris Young will lead it off for the D-backs, who've lost 8 of their last 9. Young 4 for 8 in this series, hitting a .271 for the year. He hit a home run against Nice in John's start in Arizona. One of 3 home runs that Nice gave up in that game. Young, Rusty Ryle, and Mark Reynolds all homered against John. The only 3 runs that he allowed in a no-decision game. Pitched 5 innings, allowed 3 runs, 6 hits. His first pitch in this game is taken high for ball 1.
In fact, Young led off the game with a home run from that first spot, and that's something that a pitcher or hitter does not forget.
That's probably why he threw that first pitch up and out of the strike zone. Kelly Johnson on deck, and then Justin Upton. Nice working quickly, and Young takes the cutter inside, 2-1. And a letter high strike, a very tall strike from Mike McClinsky, the rookie home plate umpire.
Nice to see. Kirk Gibson might not be that happy with that strike, but after a real kind of conservative strike zone the first day, we've had a nice strike zone yesterday.
And so Young swings and flies one out to right field, and Jeff Francoeur puts it away, and that's the first out of the afternoon. Well, Keith has joined us from down on the field, participating in the Hall of Fame ceremony. We got a very warm feeling up here, Keith. What was it like down there?
It was great. I thought all the acceptance speeches were just wonderful. It was really a love affair with the fans, wasn't it? I just thought it was extraordinary. And, you know, it's always nice to get on the field again. And when there's actually people in the seats, you get that old feeling back. You want to play. It's just, you know, times you just think you don't want to play anymore. And you get out there in the field and, boy, you just want to run over to first base and get some grounders.
2-0 to Kelly Johnson. I thought at one point that Doc was going to be moved to tears.
Yes. It was very, very. I just thought every acceptance speech was extraordinary, and I think it was just long overdue for all of them. You know.
Well, definitely. I mean, Doc's been on the road less traveled, let's say, and I will say one thing: that talking with him 2 days ago, he was so excited on being here, so excited that he was welcomed in with now 25 others in the Hall of Fame.
2-2 to Kelly Johnson. Well, it's nice to see the Hall of Fame revitalized the way it has been. It's been 8 years since the Mets had an induction ceremony. Tommy Agee was the last man to go in before today, but with the creation of the Hall of Fame and Museum, and now 4 deserving members in there, all of whom, you know, are unquestionably part of the Mets pantheon. This was important as the Mets reconnect with their past.
I 100% agree.
3-2 to Johnson. Tries to hold up. He went around. Oh, boy. Eric Cooper punches him out, and he sends his first strikeout.
I love that call. Go sit down, Keith.
Let me see. Oh, come on, huh? Give me a break. He didn't break the wrist, did he?
It's too early to get thrown out. What is the rule on that anyway here?
It's vague, right?
It's intent.
Yeah.
What was his intent? So 2 out and nobody on. Now Justin Upton, who's got the longest active hitting streak in the National League. He's hit in 16 straight games, hitting .397 over that span. Upton had 3 RBIs in the game last night for the Diamondbacks, including the 2-run single in the 7th off Bobby Parnell that put Arizona in front. But the Mets rebounded and won in the bottom of the 9th. Out to left field, where Jesus Feliciano is patrolling today, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for John Nice in the top of the first. Ray is set to lead off as we go to the bottom of the inning. Lineup, Reyes, Pagan, and Wright have been carrying the Mets offense. As the first pitch from Daniel Hudson, a little over-amped, goes to the backstop. David Wright, 8 RBIs in the last 2 games. First time he's done that in a 2-game span since 2006. And Reyes takes ball 2. Jose, 4 for 9 in this series, and he's riding a 12-game hitting streak, the longest for a Met this season, up to 283 on the year. And taking all the way, it's 3-0. Now, Ronnie mentioned Hudson has had some problems with control.
He has a great live arm. The problem is it doesn't always find the strike zone. See the hero from last night's game, Feliciano.
Here's a strike, 3-1.
Think about Jared Weaver, Jeff Weaver, the brothers from Los Angeles, Angels and Dodgers, respectively. This is how he throws. Kind of crossfire.
Little slinger.
Yep.
Hides the ball well. Has a pretty live fastball, good slider.
Where he's going to get in trouble, a pitcher like this, Ron, correct me if I'm wrong.
Inside the lefties.
Yes, and he just couldn't drop his arm down too far.
Ryle toward the line, and he gets there to make the grab. Nicely done by Rusty Ryle, an infielder playing the outfield. And
fearless.
Didn't really care about the sidewall.
No, he didn't.
At the face plant left field wall there.
Daniel Hudson made 3 starts for the White Sox before the trade.
Those Toyota numbers. Batting average against high, walks high. Strikeouts, though, almost 1 an inning.
Drafted just 2 years ago, 5th-round pick by the White Sox in 08 out of Old Dominion. As Jesus Feliciano getting the start in left field today, bluffs the bunt.
Who's ODU? In Norfolk, in that area?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yep. Jesus Feliciano last night leading off the 9th inning, first major league triple.
Fastball right there down the middle, deepest part of the park. And Feliciano runs well, and this just set up the victory.
And it's looped toward the middle, base hit for Feliciano. He just keeps on hitting. Doesn't walk much, doesn't have much power, although he showed a pretty good power bat last night with that triple, but he picks up base hits.
Falls off the strike zone. Ow. Let go with one hand to reach it.
I mean, you watch him with the big long swing, and you can understand why he never really got a shot in the big leagues before this year. But when you bring him up here and all of a sudden he's hitting around 300, you say, well, maybe he can stick for a while.
Yeah, he does. It reminds me of Montero for the Diamondbacks. Both have kind of big swings, but they put the bat on the ball.
Here's Angel Pagan, who is just having a marvelous season, and he's hot right now. And he takes a strike.
He's been hot most of the season. He's been their most consistent hitter. 3 hits last night. He's just having a heck of a season.
Now 6th in the National League in batting, hitting at .313. And he pulls one through the hole, a base hit. Feliciano pulls in at second. So back-to-back one-out singles for Feliciano and Pagan.
Well, he's going to have trouble with lefties. That's got too much plate. And nice hitting.
Well, it's got to be nice if you are a hitter. Marvin Hudson that takes that ball back, long, big, strong arm motion, doesn't push off too much, and kind of braces himself against the strong left side.
So Daniel Hudson making just his 6th career start in immediate trouble, and David Wright steps in. David with 8 RBIs in the last 2 games. 3 RBIs last night, including a game-tying hit in the 7th inning. And David takes inside for ball 1. 77 runs batted in now for Wright, 2nd in the league behind Ryan Howard.
This guy is going to have trouble with David. His ball tends to come back down and in to the right-handed hitters, and that is right in his power zone.
Change. And the Coors Light Diamondback defense. You can see right there. Young, Upton, Real in the outfield. LaRoche, who I like at first base, has a nice glove. Kelly Johnson, nice fielder at second. Drew Reynolds.
Good breaking ball by Hudson, 1-2.
That's 2 changeups in a row, Gary and Keith. That beautiful circle grip, that big long arm action. David can't pick it up. He's never seen it. So
Hudson ahead 1-2. He struck out 14 in 16 innings in the big leagues this year. And he strikes him out with a high fastball. Got it to 93. And Hudson has his first strikeout.
Well, Ron, you said that it would be into David's wheelhouse downstairs. I agree. What did he do? He came upstairs with 2 strikes. That's a perfect pitch.
Yeah, great pitching. Fastball in, 2 changeups down, and a fastball up and in. Very nice job by Hudson.
Hudson just 23 years old, facing a fellow 23-year-old as Ike Davis steps in. Ike hitting at 247, 0 for 6 in this series. Two out and 2 on, and Ike takes the changeup away for ball 1. Jeff Francoeur starting in right field today, waiting on deck after getting a seat on the bench yesterday. On the outside corner, 1-1. Carlos Beltran getting the day off today as the Mets get ready for their hugely important week upcoming, going to Atlanta and Philadelphia.
Well, they got a break there with Martin Prado on the disabled list for the Braves.
Davis lifts one to right center field. Easy play for Chris Young. And so Daniel Hudson able to work around a couple of hits in the bottom of the first. Off to the second we go with no score.
Did you
off for the Diamondbacks against John Neese, who threw a 1-2-3 opening inning. LaRoche 2 for 9 in this series, hitting a 253 on the year. It'll be LaRoche, then Mark Reynolds and Rusty Ryle for the Diamondbacks in the second.
Jonathan Neese pitches sometimes like there's an egg timer ticking. He just gets that ball and fires it.
Well, the thing that impresses me the most, and we've talked about it so much because it happens every start with John, is the ability to get out of jams. You know, it's a great sign in a young pitcher. You know, you always, certain things you watch for in hitters, certain things you watch for in pitchers. Hitters, do they hit in the clutch? Tight situations late, do they fold their tent? Pitchers, when they're in trouble, how do they react? Neese is just a guy that gets better when he's in trouble.
Well, just to bear that out, over his last 6 starts, the batting average against Neese with runners in scoring position, 120.
Wow. Dwight Gooden like it.
Ahead on LaRoche 0-2. Pulled down to first. And Ike Davis takes care of that one. 4 up and 4 down for Neese.
He has a very economical motion. There's not too many working parts. The dropping of the glove, the raising of the foot, touching the glove almost. And then the separation of the hands and go. I'm telling you, if you have your kids at home, this would be lefty at home. This will not be a bad one to look at. to try to decide how your son's going to throw, son or daughter.
He's got that shoulder lift, too, Ron.
Yeah.
I think he hides the ball well for from hitters.
Here's Mark Reynolds, who took the Golden Sombrero last night. The 14th time already in his relatively brief Major League career that he has struck out 4 times in a game.
So I missed one.
You hate that term, don't you? You never had one, did you?
Yes, I had a couple. Candelaria got me once.
He's behind him 3-0.
I saw Clint Turtle. Now it's a AAA game, so a minor league report here. AAA game. Jimmy Key pitching for the Syracuse Chiefs against the Tidewater Tide. Strike out Clint Turtle 5 times, and he never made contact.
Wow. No foul balls.
No foul balls, nothing.
I saw Swoboda strike out 5 times in a game.
Did you? Jump off a bridge, I think.
Were you there at the game?
Yeah.
And you thought he was going to get hit the 5th time up?
Of course. Well, he had the game against Carlton.
That's right.
Where Carlton struck out 19 and against Swoboda 2 or 3 times, and Swoboda hit a couple of 2-run homers and beat him. 19 strikeouts. So, Rocky had that.
You never know.
Yeah. 3-2 to Reynolds. Sharply to short. Reyes with a nice stop. Spins around. Throws him out. Beautifully done by Jose Reyes. 2 down.
Ball's a bullet here to Jose's left. Just pure reaction, showing nice range, and of course, the splendid arm.
I don't know if he's spun around, Gary. I think the ball spun him around.
But looking it into his glove on a similar play to the one he made the error on the other night.
He didn't. The other one, he was a little bit sluggish to his left on that play, and that opened the floodgates for the big 5-run inning.
There's Rusty Ryle, who has really swung the bat well against the Mets. 1 for 4 last night. Good curveball by Neese, 0-2. Ryle had a home run against Neese in Arizona, among a couple of hits he had against John. Ryle's been getting more and more playing time as he continues to swing the bat well. Career infielder, getting to play in the outfield now. And it gets away from Tolley, chases it to the backstop, and Ryle able to beat it out. A changeup from Neese that completely fooled Ryle and Tolley.
Oh, it's a backdoor curve, and just, you try to backhand those. He set up inside and just didn't have the quick movement out to get his body in front. And anytime the catcher backhands, it's tough with that catcher's mitt.
So it's a strikeout and a wild pitch, allowing Ryle to reach first. First base runner for the Diamondbacks, and he's running. Tolley's with the throw to second base, and Reyes gets the tag down in time. Side retired. Ryle's first stolen base attempt of the year. That didn't go very well. So Ryle reaches. Tolley erases him. No score in the middle of the second. Mets.com. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Jeff Francoeur, it's a fair ball down to third, and Mark Reynolds makes a terrific play to throw him out. Boy, what a quick release by Reynolds.
Well, beautiful backhand ball came up, and he knew he had to put a little extra oomph on it with his body momentum carrying him away from first base, and he shows a strong arm.
Keith, what happened to the day when you hit a bullet over the bag? It used to be a double. Those days are gone. That ball was right over the bag.
It was, and they play more of the line. You know, David Wright plays the line a lot. But he's in this particular at bat here, we're totally up. He's covering the hole as he should. He's way off the line. That's the third baseman.
Tolley just 2 for his last 23, but he hits this one toward the left field corner. Over goes Ryle, and it's a foul ball.
Gary, I'll tell you, that ball that Francoeur hit from pitching in the major leagues, as soon as you threw that pitch and as soon as he hit it, you knew it was a double.
Right.
You just knew it was a double. Maybe it was the AstroTurf in the day. I don't know.
Well, he's playing way back here.
I mean, look at that. That ball's in foul territory once it gets past the bag.
Nice range. It's all in the first step in the read when you're an infielder. The read on the swing.
Tolley back in with an 0-2 count, and he bloops one to the left side, and Reynolds is right there. 2 away. So Hudson, after giving up back-to-back hits to Feliciano and Pagan in the first inning, has retired the next 4. It has been a fact of life for the Mets over the last few days that they've been getting production from the top of the batting order and nothing from the second half of the order.
Well, that's why Alex is in there today. Alex Cora, who's been struggling himself, but not getting a lot of production from second base. Timing's been off a little bit, and trying to get Alex to get a couple of hits here in this ball game.
Cora just 3 for his last 35. So Castillo sitting tonight. Will probably be back in the lineup tomorrow in Atlanta. Cora's batting average down to .205 for the year. That's a very interesting contract situation with Alex Cora. If he plays in 80 games this year, his contract vests for next year for $2 million. This is his 61st game today.
Wow.
So he's going to be right in that neighborhood. There's a strike, 2-2.
I remember back in the day when they start benching guys. Pitchers had innings pitched. You never want that in your contract.
They would shut you down.
You know, they just shut you down, and you're not going to get it.
Popped up, and Stephen Drew tailing out to make the grab. So a good inning for Daniel Hudson as he sets the Mets down 1-2-3. for it today. I bet you it's
going to get the answer first or the question? Oh, good. The question today.
Who are the 5 players selected first overall in the draft to hit at least 300 career home runs? Well, we honored one here today.
Yes, we did. That's a good question. 5
first overall pick hitting 300 or more home runs.
Well, there's a junior in there, I would guess. Yeah.
There's at least one other active player that I know of.
Yes.
We're going to see him tomorrow.
Okay. And then also there's a guy that plays on the other side of town.
Right. Okay.
We got to stop. We got to stop. We got 2 more people.
Stephen Drew fouls it off. He's ahead 0-2. Drew riding a 7-game hitting streak. Sat yesterday against the lefty Takahashi, but in there against the lefty today. Drew hitting just 192 against lefties this season.
Keith, let me ask you a question. A left-handed pitcher with a big Rudy May curveball. What are you looking for when it comes out of the pitcher's hand? Where does it start to make you think you have to swing? Like, is it on your shoulder? Is it behind you?
Feliciano right up against the sidewall. Nice play. Only the 2nd game Feliciano started in left field, and he handled that like he'd been playing there all his life.
Over 2 plays early in the game here, right in that corner. That's a nice play. Nicely done.
Ooh, we've seen some very interesting plays down there during this homestand. Angel Pagan made the catch with his back to home plate earlier in the homestand.
That's not going to bother him. He's been waiting 2,200 minor league games to get up here. He's fine.
Driven to center field by Hester, and over goes Pagan to grab it. Boy, Pagan has just played the heck out of center field this year.
Talk about someone taking advantage of his opportunity. There you go. There you have it right there. That door was open for him. He stuck that foot in, and next thing you know, he shut the door behind him.
Well, this is the first professional at bat for Daniel Hudson. Never batted in the majors with the White Sox. Never batted in the minors. Don't know how often he batted at Old Dominion.
You got to be swinging first pitch then, huh? First one?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
What is that? Don't open your mouth and.
Well, he made contact. Ike Davis handles it. Jesus faced the minimum over the first 3 innings. Jesus Feliciano, welcome to the sidewall at Citi Field. To you by Amtrak's Acela Express. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com. Daniel Hudson making his 6th major league start, his debut as a Diamondback. Diamondbacks dealt away 4 players in the week before the trading deadline. A couple of pitchers, Dan Herron and Edwin Jackson. Their backup catcher, Chris Snyder. Their relief pitcher, Chad Qualls.
Arguably their best pitchers this season. Edwin Jackson with a no-hitter. Danny Herron having a subpar season for him, but has been their best pitcher the last 3 seasons.
Herron pitched a complete game loss for the Angels last night. Lost to his old Oakland teammate, Rich Harden, 2-1. John Neese leads off in the home 3rd inning. Neese has 6 hits this year. He's done a nice job swinging the bat. Reyes and Feliciano to follow here in the bottom of the 3rd.
2-0. Have to take here if you're a pitcher.
Swing foul.
Hudson, watching him throw, it's hard to pick up the baseball. I mean, you know when you go to the cages and they have that machine that spits it out of that square and it's hard to get the timing? That's what it looks like when you watch Dov Hudson. You can't see the ball at all and just, boom, it's on you.
You mentioned the name Max Scherzer, who started his career with the Diamondbacks. He had the same kind of motion, right?
Long arm motion. And lulls you to sleep and then kind of pops it up there.
East chases one out of the strike zone, and Hudson has his 2nd strikeout.
You got a live fastball, run it upstairs.
So Hudson's retired 6 in a row. Pitcher's dominant so far this afternoon. And here's Reyes, who hit a foul fly on which Rusty Ryle made a nice play in the 1st inning. And a ground ball toward the middle. Kelly Johnson on the backhand and the jumping toss. Got him. Nice play by Kelly Johnson, and knew he had to hurry it against the speed of Reyes.
Well, you're right about that, Gary. You can see the sense of urgency right there. No wasted motion. Very nice. Reyes hustling down the line. It's amazing how the dimensions, what's it?
90 feet.
90 feet, and it's been there forever, huh?
Inches, and you always get beat by a half a step.
The guys run faster today than they did over 100 years ago, and it's still perfect dimensions. I just find it so fascinating.
Jesus Feliciano had a base hit up the middle his first time up. For Feliciano, this is his 12th start with the Mets. He's still leading the International League in batting, but he hopes to relinquish that crown and stay here.
So he did not have enough at bats, you think, by this point?
Well, by the end of the year.
Yeah, he won't.
Probably won't.
Because they have one more month, those guys usually.
It reminds me of back in 1973, guys. Nice change. We hit him in the...
Yeah, the recoil of the bat hit John Hester right in the side of the face.
That stings.
Fooled by the changeup. Let's go with one hand.
Oh, under the mask.
That's not good, particularly at 2:15 in the afternoon.
Oh, he needed a wake-up call after a long night.
Well, that's where the guys who wear those hockey masks probably have an advantage. He wants one up and in now, Feliciano. You take it.
Look at the Coors Light freeze cam.
This is worthy of a Coors Light freeze cam.
It is?
Yes.
We're showing mayhem and injury.
Just mildly stunned.
But getting back to my point about Hector Cruz in Double-A in Little Rock, he was leading the Texas League of Triple Crown. And they called him up. Someone got hurt in the outfield, and they called him up, and he lost the Triple Crown.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, he was happy to go up, trust me.
I think so. Pension's a little better at the big league level. 2-2 from Hudson. Change up, hit to left field, chasing Ryle back a few strides. And he makes the grab to end the inning. So that's 8 in a row retired by Daniel Hudson. Settle in. No score after 3. Today, after the postgame, get an exclusive tour of the Jets' new stadium from Woody Johnson. Plus, find out what Rex Ryan and the team have to say about their new home on Jets Nation inside the new stadium. Today, after the postgame, only on SNY. Chris Young leading off in the 4th inning against John Neese. And he lifts one to shallow center. Coming on Pregame. And there's one away. Well, today was a very special day here at Citi Field with the induction of 4 new members into the Mets Hall of Fame, and one of them is the winningest manager in Mets history, Davey Johnson. It's so great to have you. Congratulations.
Well, it's great to be here, and it's great to be up here. I'm getting smarter just by sitting with you guys.
Tell me what the feeling was like on the field today during that induction ceremony.
It was great. I mean, I wanted to put the uniform back on. I didn't, I wanted to run out. I wanted to do something. It seemed like I was, fish out of water or something.
I saw you running from left center. Yeah. Keith said the same thing. He wished he had a uniform on today.
I agree. I thought it was false hustle of Davey.
No doubt about that. But you got to give me 8 for effort. I was trying,
But I got to ask you the question, Davey, because we went into that '84 season in spring training, and that was your first year. What were your expectations? You had managed a lot of the young players and down the minor leagues, but what were your expectations of that '84 team? Did you expect it to win 90 ball games?
No, I really didn't. I mean, I thought we had a lot of holes. I thought our offense was weak. Our pitching was very young and starting to get. And we had a few real old guys that I had to release that year. I remember having to go to Gary Carter. I mean, not Gary Carter, but Rusty Scott. But 2 months in the season, I said, instead of you coming down in the 8th inning, like a reliever or a closer, I said, would you come onto the bench like in the 2nd inning? Because if we have the bases loaded, you're hitting. Because we're going to get on the board. But, we got better every year. No question about it.
No.
Do you think being that roving instructor, Keith was saying about managing, but you also was a roving instructor for a few seasons with that. Yeah. You saw everybody.
Yeah, I think, managing in the minor leagues is great, but when you go from AAA all the way down to rookie ball and see it all the way through, I mean, you get a good idea of what the level they're competing against and their talent level and what's coming. And I think that's great for a future big league manager.
Davey, you've managed in other places. But you had a lot of large personalities with that '86 Mets team. Did that make it more, or did it make it less difficult when you have so many guys who just were larger than life?
And you know, I think New York, I mean, you almost have, that's your defense mechanism. If you don't have a strong personality in New York, you're dead. I mean, we didn't have that problem in our clubhouse.
As far as, what was the one, I mean, we had tremendous years every year. We only won once. We actually won the division in '88. But of all the years, what was the one thing, was there one particular piece that you wanted, you always were hammering Frank to get? What was it you wanted, a reliever or a bench guy?
No, I thought we were there in '85 when he gave me Ray Knight and Tuffle.
Yeah.
You know, what happened in '87, we got hurt. I mean,
oh, I know.
I remember I lost 6 of my top pitchers for over 2 months, and the Bone Crusher was losing Darling when he had that great game and went over field of ground ball and ripped his thumb all up.
Yep.
And then we lost the Cardinals that day. I mean, I thought we should have won in '87, but for all the injuries, and then we did win in '88. And I guess you can blame me for leaving Doc in at a pitch to the Scotia guy.
Well, they're always going to blame you. You know how that works.
Yeah, and he hits one out.
Was that your biggest disappointment, '88?
You know, I really thought we had a good ball club. I mean, we were becoming a different ball club because it was close to the back end of Keith and Carter. You know, I probably got a lot of criticism that year for playing Jeffries more than, you know, guys wanted me to play.
LaRoche hammers one to deep right field. Frank Core back to the corner for a look, but that ball's out of here. A 3-run homer for Adam LaRoche to give the Diamondbacks a 3-0 lead.
You're a big fan of 3-run home run, weren't you?
Yeah, maybe you ought to get me out of here.
He played in the American League.
I'm supposed to be good luck for the Mets.
Davey played over in that country club league.
Tell me what you thought of the first time as LaRoche with a 3-run home run, hanging a little cutter in the middle of the plate. Yeah. When you saw Dwight Gooden, did you see him in Lynchburg? Is the first time you saw him?
The first time I saw him was with Randy Myers, Floyd Yeomans, and Dwight Gooden in Kingsport. It was a rookie league for guys. And I was brought in there for two weeks to kind of work the team out before the manager got there. And I ain't kidding you, when I threw Dwight on the side, first I threw Myers. Most of the balls hit the back of the net. You know, the catcher couldn't catch them. Yeomans was about as bad. And then I figured this 17-year-old kid was going to probably kill the catcher by bouncing him. And he just painted with 95-mile-an-hour gas outside. Didn't have to move. He moved over here and he'd paint there. Curveball was in the strike zone. I said, I got to ask this kid something. I asked him, I said, how do you grip your fastball? He said, I can cross the seams when I want giddy up, and with the seams, the lateral movement. I said, I better stay away from this kid. He's got a little bit of talent.
Don't mess him up.
I tried not to.
Tell us about you as the skipper. Baby. Come on, the greatest game I ever played was that Game 6 in Houston.
That was one of the greatest. And I think, you know, I was telling, we got the 1-run lead, and I was telling Stottlemyre, man, isn't this great? Enjoy it. Quit grinning and feeling something. And then Hatcher hits a home run, boom. I said, take all that back. But it was just a great ball game. And I think Keith came in at the end of that ball game when we had a lead or something. I think he said something to the pitcher. Keith was always telling the pitcher what to throw.
5 straight hits now for the Diamondbacks.
That was the most exciting game I ever played. I got to ask you one question, because, you know, when you're an everyday player, I never paid too much attention to what the manager did. But Davey was one of the first guys I played for that had the statistics. And when you pinch hit in the 9th inning, we're down 3-0 to Nepper. He's throwing a 3-hit shutout. And you went to the bench and put Lenny up. I sat there, went, what is he doing? And I just got to know, what was your thought process putting Lenny up?
Well, the right-handers couldn't hit him. and he's used to, you know, leading, getting on base. That's what he does. And, you know, a lot of times you don't go with statistics, you go with your gut instincts.
Right.
You know? I mean, you know how it is.
Yep.
I mean, you know, Keith, Keith helped me manage all the time. When he felt like he wasn't going good, he'd say, Skip, hit and run first pitch. I said, okay, boom, man, I start the runner, he gets a base hit, man, I look smart.
Now, there's a famous picture of you, Davey, during Game 6 against the Red Sox, slumping back in your seat in the 10th inning after 2 were out. Team down by 2 runs. He's sitting back in your office at that time. He's already had his at-bat. What's going through your head at that time?
But, you know, Gary, I don't care what anybody thinks. We never took anything for granted that whole year. I mean, we always thought we were going to win. I mean, I had a rule, I think, you know, I don't say who it was named after, but if you hit a ball and didn't run hard and the guy caught it, you're okay. But if you dropped it and you weren't on second base, that was a fine.
Yeah.
You know, so we never took anything for granted. We tried to play hard all the way, and, you know, and that, even though we were down a couple runs, you know, I don't think I might have looked like I looked bad when I was on the bench watching these guys play. That was my job, to look like I was important. But, you know, I don't think any of us ever gave up hope.
RJ?
I was thinking that one of the big confidence boosters for me, and there's 2 outs, so I'll ask it after Jonathan throws this pitch, was in '85 we had that big series. We had a chance in '85. We go into St. Louis. Your choice, of course, is to pitch Dwight on regular time because he's having the season of all seasons, and you decide to throw number 12 out there. What was your thinking behind that? I made you look good that time.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got all great arms. I mean, and every one of the pitchers just got better every time out, and the biggest surprise was these guys struggled a little bit against Chicago, the Cubs, and the Cubs dominated us. And I thought we had better arms. And I think that was a learning year. '85, you know, we were going for the wins. I mean, when you win 98 games, you expect to win.
I mean, you go home, too. We went home with 98 wins. We got nothing out of it.
Nothing out of it.
Tea time on October 2nd.
Right. That's it. That's it.
And Hester draws a walk to load the bases, so a difficult inning for John Neese continues. You watch games these days, Davey. Do you see differences in the way the game is managed now from when you were skippering?
There's no question about it. I mean, I don't think I could manage the game. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, everybody didn't think I could manage in my day, but I see things now that, you know, that I couldn't get away with. But you know, it's working for a lot of guys.
What things, to be more specific?
No, I don't want contracts put out on me and tell you know what I'm saying. But I'm not auditioning here, Keith. Jeez.
Slow ground ball, and Neese with a tough play, and Davis with the pickup to end the inning. Well, Davey, congratulations. It's great to have you back, and it's great to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Great seeing you, Skip.
Thanks, Skipper.
Winningest manager in Mets history, Davey Johnson.
There's the false hustle
here at Citi Field. 3-0 Diamondbacks, middle of the 4th. Well, it was terrific talking to Davey Johnson. Now Kevin Burkhardt is standing by with another of the Mets Hall of Fame inductees. Kevin?
We've got Frank Cashin here, the general manager and the architect behind all those teams in the 80s and, of course, the 86 world champions. You know, Frank, and first of all, great day. And just tell me about your enjoyment and what it was like to be here and finally get that honor today.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was, very happy about being voted into the Hall of Fame. And I had never seen this ballpark. This is my first experience here. And after all the great memories over in Shea, it was great to come to the new ballpark and take a look at these modern conveniences. So I've enjoyed it. It's been great. And I said yesterday, it's not just going into the Hall of Fame, but the people that went in with me, Davey Johnson and Daryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, you felt like you were being voted to the first team.
And certainly you deserve to be there. Angel Pagan bats for the Mets here in the fourth. You did so many things to make that championship team, whether it was through the draft, as evidenced by Doc and Daryl, or many, many trades. I mean, two guys that are in our booth today, Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez, are a prime example of that. What are you most proud of? Let's take those two specific trades. I mean, you had to trade away a very popular player in Mazzilli to get Ron back with Waltero, and then you go out and get a former MVP and World Series champ. Tell me about how those trades went down.
Well, probably the first trade was a big trade. I traded Lee Mazzilli, who was an excellent ball player who played here. But he was about the best thing I had to trade, and I realized that after 1 year here, that we were going to win. We were going to have to come up with some pitching. So I traded him for two pitchers, Ron Darling and Waltero. Later traded Waltero for Howard Johnson. So that was really the kind of basic trade that started to set the club up for where it reached in '86.
How did you, when you looked at all the moves you made and you go on, you talk about, bringing Sid Fernandez here, Bobby Ojeda. I mean, what did you look at specifically when you brought this collection of guys together?
Well, first of all, I look for pitching, because I think you got good pitching that's going to shine all the time. And of course, Sid was a pitcher, and he was one of, in fact, the four pitchers that we really used in the World Series were three of them came from trades: Bobby Ojeda, Ron Darling, and Sid Fernandez. And of course, Doc Gooden had come through our system. So it was a combination of trading and raising.
Angel Pagan draws a walk. David Wright hits as we talk to Frank Cashin into the Hall of Fame today. How much, when you're putting that team together, did personalities come into play, considering they had to play in this city?
Well, they did, and it's sort of unsaid, but you look for guys. There are two kind of ball players. There are regular ball players and ball players that can handle New York, and they're not always the same guys, And the young ball players, you hope to God that they can handle.
Ball gets by as Pagan goes on down to second base. When you talk about the manager, Davey Johnson, I mean, you had him in Baltimore. You were a GM of the Orioles. Davey was a player back then. What qualities did he have, Frank, that you thought that he would fit here?
Well, the most important one, he's a very intelligent man. And he had graduated from college in Texas with a degree in mathematics. And he's a very intelligent guy, and I knew he could do that. And he knew baseball, too, and understood baseball, as only a magician does. Realistically, you say, hey, I got to get this team to 500. I got to get to 500. Somebody said, why is that a magic? Well, if you get the team to 500, and after that, if they only win 11 out of every 20 games.
Right, deep to right. Upton back makes the catch. Ballpark holds David Wright. Pagan tags goes to third. If you only win 11 out of 20 after that, you were saying?
Yeah, that comes up to like 89, 90 wins a year. And any time you do that, you're going to be in competition for the winning your division.
Frank, one more before we let you go. Just if you could take, is there one fondest memory? Is there one memory that really stands out to you of all your time with this organization?
Oh, I think it was winning in '86 because it was a culmination of what we have been trying to put together and build since 1980. And I had told Nelson Doubleday at that time it would take 4 or 5 years, and we really got the team rebuilt in that time, and I'm very grateful for that.
Frank, thanks for the time. Certainly well-deserved in the Hall of Fame today, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Guy who did it all, who built this team, guys. Frank Cash and Ike Davis. Bats, back to you.
And Ike lifts one to right center. That'll get a run home as Angel Pagan tags at third. So Davis gets the Mets on the board with a sacrifice fly to cut the Arizona lead to 3-1. Well, you know, Frank Cash will always hold an incredibly special place in my heart because he's the man who hired me in the winter of 1988-89 to come be a broadcaster here.
Brilliant. You went in with your resume? Did you have that card with your long hair in Columbia?
At that time,
did you show them that card?
No, I believe that I cut my hair that day. I believe the Mets hired the radio broadcasters at that time. So I interviewed with Frank and with Al Harrison and Mike Ryan, who was the broadcasting director at the time. And Frank had the final call, and he listened, and he listened to my tape, and he had a couple of words of advice of what he thought broadcasters should do, and he was every bit who I expected him to be.
Exactly.
Sitting with his bow tie behind the desk, and it was a little intimidating, but he signed off on hiring me.
Do you remember the advice?
Yeah, he said on radio, when a ball is hit, it's hit to a position, not to the name of a player. And he's right. You always say ground ball to second, and then you name the player.
Wow.
Because people can't see who's playing where.
Okay.
So Frank knew his broadcasting as well as everything else, and I think it's important to note that a general manager then was not like a general manager today.
Yeah.
Frank was kind of a dinosaur, the last of a breed, in that he ran the whole organization. He didn't just run the baseball side of things. Frank Core pulls one down to third, and Reynolds handles it. Cheating off the bag LaRoche, but he gets the call. The inning is over. Mets get a run without a hit. There's the plaque. John Francis Cashin, the architect of the '86 Mets, Hall of Famer. We go to the fifth inning at Citi Field. The Diamondbacks leading the Mets 3-1. Top of the batting order coming up for Arizona, and the top of the mound here in the booth. Dwight Gooden is with us, Mets Hall of Famer. It had to be just a just a great feeling to be out there. And I'm watching you make your speech, and I thought for a moment that you were going to tear up because it was clearly a very special moment for you.
Well, it was. I think the odds was right from the last 2 nights, and just thinking about what today was going to take place, and like I said, coming home and been around a lot of my teammates, it was just a great feeling.
And nice play by Angel Pagan up against the fence.
It was just a great feeling, being around all the guys that I played with and shared so many wonderful years with. And like last night, I couldn't sleep. It was like a little kid, waiting for Christmas. And once the day got here, you just wanted to end. And it was just great, just a great time.
Doc, you like to pitch here? You never give up a home run if you pitch in this ballpark.
Well, it's definitely pitcher's park.
Wow.
Me and you both.
That's right.
Good time pitching here. Definitely.
Doc, your first year when you came up and you had that great rookie season and you had the strikeout record, and it was just so exciting to play behind you. I want you to know that. It's one of the greatest thrills of my career. I got to play behind you and Bob Gibson, and you're right there in that class. Going into the season, did you, I mean, you couldn't have expected to have that put up those kind of numbers.
Not at all. Obviously as a kid, one of the dreams are to play Major League Baseball. Got the opportunity to do that, and I remember Davey in spring training when he told me I made the team. I was very excited, but then there's a little voice saying, am I really ready for this?
Yeah.
And once I made the team, the dream was there, and the things along the way that took place for the awards I was able to accomplish with, teammates I had, and obviously winning the World Series with you guys. Never expected none of those things, and obviously going to the Mets Hall of Fame, you don't think of that. It's things you dream of, and everything. I'm just enjoying the ride. Like I said, my health is good. It's good to be here. This feels like home, and everything just feels right.
I'll never forget that first start you had in Houston. Mm-hmm. Your parents were there. I know your mom's here today, right? Your dad's passed. What a great man he was, by the way.
Yeah.
And I remember both of them in the stands, and I was thinking to myself, here I am. I'm, 4 or 5 years older than you, right? And I'm about half as accomplished as you are. And you went out there as a 19-year-old kid, and you didn't show any kind of nervousness at all, but you had to be.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. That's a good something about that day. Opening day was in Houston.
Yep.
And I remember walking to the ballpark. I was so nervous inside. You might just sit outside, but inside I was nervous, real nervous. But that day it seemed like forever before we called it the 5 o'clock bus. So I ended up walking to the ballpark and didn't know how to get in the first time in the Astrodome. So I ended up hopping the fence. No. True story.
Really?
True story. Hopped the fence and then had to show the security guard my ID.
Tampa, yo.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. So I had to show the security guard my ID that I was a player.
To get in.
And I actually beat, at that time, Steve Garland and was it Bobby Sykes?
Bobby Sykes, yeah.
The 2 trainers. I got there actually before the trainers got there that day.
That's funny.
Yeah, but what helped me relax was Bill Doran's the leadoff hitter. On the first pitch, he hit the ground ball the second. And that kind of calmed me down a little bit.
As opposed to throwing ball 1, you're like, what's going on? Exactly.
Those nights at Shea Stadium in 1984, as it started to develop, as you started to pitch a few games and people started to know what you were and started to come out to the ballpark specifically to see you, the electricity on those nights was off the charts. But for you as a 19-year-old kid, how did you avoid getting caught up in that and getting overamped?
Well, I think with the teammates, we had a good core of guys. With our pitching staff we had with Ronnie and Sid Fernandez, guys, we were very close, so we kind of fed off each other. And having the veterans with Keith there, and I also had Mike Torres, one of the pitchers there at the beginning. Those guys kept you, stable and kept you within yourself, and it just became a game, but also a job where you went out there and you just focus on the things you had to do.
But you had to hear what was coming from
the stands. I definitely heard the fans. And I used to feed off the fans, like I was mentioning. There's no better feeling when you got 2 strikes and the fans stood up. They don't know how much that really helped me because anything close, the hitter was swinging with the fans clapping, and I probably, especially with Frank Poli, was definitely going to punch him out.
The base hit for Justin Upton. He's having himself quite a series.
Doc, what was the one thing, when you first came out, what was the things that you worked on to make yourself better as far as your pitches? Remember, they used to steal off you, and you improved your move coming over. Then you did a slide step. But was there anything that you worked on with your stuff to make it better after your rookie year?
I'll tell you what, I was very fortunate. My dad was he was a pitcher back in his day. He never played professional or anything like that. It was like sandlot baseball growing up in Georgia. And he really developed my mechanics, and he had good methods on arm strength. He was a big fan of long toss, and he was also very critical at times. And one of the things I had to do after the season was over, once I got home, he gave me like a month off. Then he was just start doing some different things for his drills, where you throw the ball. I know Listen talks about his dad picking up a dollar bill.
That's right.
My dad had me going across the, the front leg doing stuff. Never on the quicker than I moved to home, unfortunately. But the leg kick was real good, and one of the things was balance. He had a board where he'll put a brick in the middle for us to balance with the leg, while the legs are in the air. Balance yourself to get the weight transferred to the back leg. That's one of the big things he did. And even the first 2 years when I had some success, to him, it still was work to be done. So he stayed on top of me, which is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, started to get better and better every year. I hear you. Loud and clear.
You guys have the same father. We all did. We all did.
That's right. That's right.
What do you think of this place? What do you think of coming back to Flushing? I know you've been back a couple times. You're in Jersey now anyway. But this is really something, isn't it?
That's a beautiful ballpark.
LaRoche drills another one to deep right, and LaRoche has his second 3-run homer of the day. Wow. Number 16 for LaRoche and a crusher for John Neese, 6-1 Arizona.
Boy, that's 5 home runs now in 2 starts against the Diamondbacks. Who will, when you make mistakes, that's what they play. They play long ball. It's like 84 facing the Cubs in Wrigley, wasn't it, Doc?
Oh, man. That one was unbelievable.
The flagpole. Another flat little cutter.
We'd have the same game in Chicago every single time. You, I, and the rest of the staff shut them up for 5 innings, and in the 6th, they'd hit 2 or 3 home runs, game over.
Yeah.
Every game.
I never forgot the time when Joey Davis hit me right in the basket. He was drifting back.
That's right.
The basket, the game was over.
Like a 3-pointer. IOTV pitch differential, middle of the plate.
Down the pipe.
See, some guys can get away with throwing the ball down the middle.
That's right.
Early on.
Keith has no sympathy for the pitchers. I fight every day for like an inkling, a little dropping of something.
Oh, well, it happens. You guys can't put it there all the time where you want, thank God.
Elmer descends up in the bullpen.
I'll tell you, though, like we just talked about earlier about the ballpark, it's a beautiful ballpark. And the thing that's amazing me, I remember last year coming here a couple of times, watching Chef and hanging around you guys.
Yeah.
It still felt like it's on the road last year for some reason. Obviously, I miss Shay's, a lot of history there for all of us. But this year it seems right. It seems like home now.
Yeah. And they played like it all season long. But I'd like to have that clubhouse when we were playing, wasn't it? Oh, Charlie sitting back there has his own office, big TV, the whole thing.
Tell us about your no-no. And you mentioned something about your no-no. I know it's over there in the other stadium, but when you threw that, you said you didn't have good stuff.
That, actually, you would have thought if I was going to throw no-no, it would have happened in the 80s.
Yeah.
The thing about in 96 when I threw the no-no, even though it was on the other side, actually, one of my teammates, David Cohn, had the aneurysm. We had the aneurysm. They got me back into the rotation.
That's right, because you're in the pen, right?
I was in the pen.
Yeah.
Actually, I was bench. You ever heard of a pitcher being bench?
No, I wasn't 90. I got it.
So Cohn had the aneurysm. They got me back into the rotation. And I had 6 walks that game. And the thing was, before the game, I was supposed to fly home with my dad, who was having open heart surgery.
That's right.
And they didn't, I thought he probably wanted me to pitch. So I decided I'll go ahead and pitch. And it turned out that day was a no-hitter, but I walked the first guy to start the game on 4 pitches. A-Rod hits a ball that Gerald Williams made an unbelievable catch on.
Yeah.
The second guy, and he doubled off Braggs. And it has some walks between that. But, I was 3-2 on everybody. 3-2 on everybody. And even the 9th inning, walked the first 2 guys. And Soriano was at the batter. And the first pitch that threw all day was a hanging breaking ball right down the middle, or down the pipe, as Keith said. And he popped it up. So that day, I definitely had somebody in my corner. It was just.
Well, what's interesting is Seaver's no-hitter when he was with the Reds against the Cardinals. I was with the Cardinals. Seaver had nothing. And we laugh about it to this day. He just threw helicopters all day.
Yeah.
And he said he knew he had nothing, so he just kept throwing slower and slower and off-speed pitches and the fastball here. But mainly he was a breaking ball pitcher that day.
Yeah.
Jerry Manuel's going to come out and make a pitching change. So a rough day for John Neese. No hits over the first 3, but 6 runs and 7 hits over the last inning and a third. Elmer DeSenza will come on to replace him. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Jesus Feliciano moves from left to right, and Elmer DeSenz comes on to pitch, and he'll take Frank Core's spot in the 6th hole.
Well, Elmer, you can see the numbers on Elmer this season. He's been outstanding, really. Sorry, Gary, for the Mets. He's with Valdez, a guy that can pitch any time in the game, early or late.
Comes in to face Rusty Ryle with a man on, with the Mets down 6-1 in the 5th, and we're visiting with Dwight Gooden, who was inducted today into the Mets Hall of Fame. And I know with all the trials and tribulations you've had in your life, Doc, I know Met fans want to hear from you how you're doing, what you're doing, and how your life is going.
Life is going great. Doing wonderful. My health is good. I have a baseball academy. The second one is starting up. I have one in Toms River now, and one also in Rockland County. So I'm there, full-time giving lessons. And it really gets busy during the winter months when the kids can't go outside. They're both indoor facilities. And also, my oldest son is into the music industry, so he's up here with me now, and follow him around. I have one of my boys is playing AAU basketball, and the other one's playing football and baseball. So trying to follow them and also do my academy and come out and catch some games when I can. Just balance the schedule.
And an errant throw by David Wright. And so this nightmare inning continues.
But everything's going good. Obviously I have incident in March, which is all working itself out. But doesn't that mean, like I said, my health is good and feeling good?
Tell the people at home, we allude to it sometimes, Dwight, how competitive were we as a pitching staff? More importantly, not really the pitching, Gary, because that was just organic and good, to try to top each other. We used to love to gamble a little bit on our hitting prowess. Some of us less prowess than others.
Definitely. And Ryan is right. We took a lot of pride in our hit, our bunt. We used to come out early and work on things. And even a lot of times we go into cages and work. And if it was a hitter that didn't want to take BP that day, was fighting to jump in. And one of the things I really enjoyed a lot was when we was on the road. We used to go in early, take ground balls at short.
That's right.
And also take BP. And I think it helps you all around game as well.
Well, we never heard the end of it when Doc hit his first home run. I remember that. Jeez. You were a pain in the neck for like 2 weeks.
That's good. I didn't break a ball. The thing was, Rick Rhoden.
It was Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. Well, it was at home against Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Rick Rhoden, I remember, we didn't take BP that day.
Day game, right?
Day game. We got it. Yeah.
I remember.
I remember breaking ball right there. I hit it out, and for 2 weeks I didn't take BP thinking that was it.
I'm locked in.
How'd that work out for you?
Not too good. But I remember Ronnie hitting home runs in back-to-back games.
That's right, against your buddy, too. Yeah. Floyd Yeomans was the first one. I hit
I think was the second one.
Yeah, Inche, and then I hit one off the left-hander, one of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Norm Charlton.
Yeah. Here's my question, Doc. How many home runs would you have hit if they'd let you bat left-handed?
So the thing was, left-handed I had probably more power, but I probably was punched out a whole lot. I was on the right side, believe me.
How was that conversation when Davey told you couldn't bat left-handed?
Actually, with that, I wasn't really like.
It's only a pop-up. You can keep going. It's nothing.
It's a situation where, back then in the 80s, you could pitch inside on guys, and obviously if one of your guys got hit, you hit two of their guys or you hit their best guy. And at that time, I think Sutcliffe was that hit me once, and then David thought it was a good idea. When I told him I could switch it, but I really couldn't. But he said, well, he's still on the right side and doing it. So we kind of went from there. But it worked out good. I ended up with 8 home runs. So
nice.
Back to your pitching. I remember when Mel got you to start throwing the cutter. Did you take to that pitch real easy, or was it difficult for you to command that pitch?
Cutter was a good pitch for me. It came pretty easy because most guys, the way I grip my fastball, like the four-seamer, I didn't grab it really on the big part of the seams, the horseshoe part. I grabbed it on the sideway. My hands, at times, if I made a mistake, would kind of slip on the side anyway. So something my finger instead of being this way, a lot of times it was already there. So really all I had to do is put pressure on the middle finger.
Okay. We got a baseball. You can show it.
You can show it.
Why don't you just show everybody?
Yeah, so basically, the way they teach the four-seamer is, right here, right?
Yeah, big part of the ball.
This way. But see, I always like the small part. So by grabbing the ball here, a lot of times, if I wasn't on top of my game, my hands would slip this way anyway.
It would cut naturally.
So all Mel did was just told me, just put pressure on that finger there. And so just right here. Just
your middle finger.
Right, the middle finger. Instead of, you don't want to get big, just really the last minute, just right here, right there.
Just like a whip.
So, how'd you get your curve?
Curveball always went right inside here. Same thing like, they teach the four seam where you get this type of spin.
Yeah.
And the way my father taught me was grabbing the ball in here, right here with the middle finger where you on top of the seam. And I got pretty big fingers, so I could put my thumb there. So I was here. Basically, this was just placed there and get that. You get the same type of rotation, but the hitters, most of the time, if you're on top of it, didn't really pick it up. So I was just right here.
Okay.
Those size 17 hands help. Right?
Help, yes.
And how'd you throw your change? You had a good one.
Change?
You had a change, didn't you?
No.
I thought you threw a change.
Dwight and I used to laugh. No.
It changed my hand to the seats.
That's right. Just kidding. No. We used to always, you and I used to always kid each other because we would try every spring training to learn a changeup, and we would go the whole spring training, and then April 1st comes. That's change is gone. Forget about it.
It's funny, when Dave was here today, I remember in '85, he was trying to force me to throw a changeup, so I would never throw him. And then he got to the point where I think we got Gary over to catch me, and he said, every other pitch I want to change up. I don't care if they know it's coming or not. But then as soon as the season started, like Ronnie said, they say, don't worry about Dr. Cannon.
That's right.
But no, I went too good. And then actually, when I went to the Yankees and finally learned to change up, I just lost my fastball where at that point it really didn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like when you came back to Shea Stadium to pitch against the Mets? What was that like?
That was real. I mean, that was a weird situation because coming up with the Mets, you grow to hate the Yankees, not personally, but you just hated the Yankees. And in 2000 was real weird for myself because I started with the Astros. I had one start, got traded to Tampa, had 8 starts, and then I got released. And then at that time I was living in St. Petersburg, and I was friends with Mr. Steinbrenner at the time, and he asked me if I still wanted to pitch. So I said yes. He said, well, go over to Tampa, work out with the team. If it works out, we'll sign you. If not,
you worked out with Billy Connors, probably, right?
Worked out with Billy Connors, exactly. So he did some things with my legs and changed my motion a little bit. And the thing is, I had 2 starts in the rookie ball down there, and then one pitcher got hurt, and they needed a starter for the day-night doubleheader with the Mets. And then Billy Connors said, Doc, they want you to go pitch. And I'm thinking, oh, wow. I mean, I knew I wasn't ready, but I couldn't say no. And then I thought it'd be great just to get that warm-up start back to Shea Stadium also. And it turned out I went 5 innings and pitched well. I'll never forget when Joe Torre, he's the man when I was taking him out. He said, come on, Doc, give him whatever you got, whether it's 1 inning, 2 innings, or whatever. So I'm thinking, I'm going to start him. But it worked out, pretty good.
He set a low curve for you, so it didn't feel too bad.
That's it. But it was a great feeling coming back then. And then even in 2000, coming in with the World Series, with the Yankees coming in, it was a strange feeling. But it still was good to be back at Shea.
And then you came back in 2008 for the Shea goodbye ceremony. And the ovation you got that day was stunning.
Oh, that was definitely amazing because I hadn't been back to Shea since '94, actually.
And a base hit up the middle for the pitcher. Hudson only adds to the carnage, and a bad throw by Pagan to boot. Everything falling apart for the Mets. A 2-run hit for Hudson makes it 8-1 Arizona. His first major league hit.
There's a lot of Hall of Fame before the game, not too much during the game today.
Up fastball. Looks like Doc swinging that lumber there.
Like there, yeah. Be on top of it.
Somebody would have tried to take 2 on that throw.
Second error of the inning for the Mets, charged to Pagan.
Where was the first error? I was so busy
That
talking.
was David Wright's bad throw.
That's right.
So for the second straight inning, the Diamondbacks have batted around 3 in the 4th, 5 home here in the 5th, and now Chris Young, who has made a leadoff out in each of those innings.
But I tell you, like you mentioned, when I came back for the Shea goodbye, that ovation there was truly amazing because I actually hadn't been back since '94 at that time, and just not knowing really what to expect. And then once I was introduced, and the ovation the fans gave me, and that showed me that I needed to be around that. I definitely missed that, and they told me that everything was okay by doing that.
You are dearly beloved.
Oh,
you know that.
Big time.
Big time.
But you don't ever, you know it, but you don't know it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Who'd you match up with? You pitched a great ball in that playoffs against Houston. Who'd you match up with?
Yeah, the first game, Mike Scott. The first game.
First game.
He beat me 1-0 in Houston.
Home run, the first inning by Davis.
Yeah, he got me. Then the second start was against Nolan at home. I went 10 innings. I think that was the game when Daryl hit the home run.
1-1, right? 1-1.
It's 1-1.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the game that Wally said before we faced Ryan. Oh, we'll beat him up.
Oh, they said in the paper.
In the paper, Wally said that Wally Backman, and I went, oh.
Wally's done that before, you know.
No. Don't give Nolan Ryan anything to chew on. And sure enough, it was one of the great matchups, one of the great games of that playoff.
It was. Even that whole playoffs was just amazing. Like most people forget it and they talk about the Buckner Ball, but the playoffs was, to me, was the ultimate.
That's right.
I agree.
And if you get to watch Nolan pitching in the Big Shea, that had to be something for him in the playoffs.
Well, the inning finally comes to an end. The only race for the long inning would give us an extra chance to talk to Doc.
Perfect.
Doc, congratulations on your induction to the Hall of Fame.
Thanks again. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Doc, great to see you, my friend.
You too, buddy.
All right.
Definitely.
Dwight Gooden. Tickets for upcoming Mets games at Citi Field start at $19. Get your great seats direct from the source, Mets.com. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Met games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Mets head to Atlanta after the game today. Santana against Hudson tomorrow night. 3 with the Braves and 3 with the Phillies on the upcoming road trip. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, we have the final man who was inducted in the Hall of Fame today, the straw man, Daryl Strawberry, who is super well dressed today. I wish you could see these shoes because they are phenomenal. You know, Straw, you said something yesterday when we were talking that I found interesting. You know, obviously, besides here, you've had success elsewhere. You've played at other teams. But you said, you know what's nice about here? It's home. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm talking about homegrown. I'm talking about being drafted by the organization, going through the minor league system, and knowing what it was going to take to win. I think each level of the minor league system, I started winning. Then when I got to the big leagues in '83, we weren't that good. But from that, after that year, Davey Johnson took over as manager, and Keith came over in the trade, and he stuck around, and you know, it just started to become a winning thing with all of us. Our whole attitude, our whole demeanor. And I always said, you know, and I don't kid myself, Keith was the most intense player I've ever played with, one of the smartest guys I've ever seen on the baseball field, and he just taught us so many things about winning. And him and Carter, you know, both of them were winners. You know, they brought leadership for us because we were all young, and Carter handled the pitching staff, and you know, Keith was more of handling the players, the everyday players. And
so when you say taught you so much about winning, give me an example.
Just his approach to the game. You know, their approach. You know, Keith's approach to the game was phenomenal. He had so much knowledge about pitchers and situation hitting, and he just taught me all kind of things like that. He taught me how to hit left-handers, and it was just always. He was always on second base. You know, directing me to keep my shoulder in when he was on second, and when I was facing a left-hand pitcher, stay on the ball. He taught me how to hit the ball the other way, and you know, I had a great deal of success because of him teaching me how to hit left-hand pitching.
Was that hard for you? You know, talking about going the other way. I mean, you know, you're a power guy. You're a lot of times a pull power guy. You know, Keith is a line drive type guy. Was that Was it hard for you to accept at first, to kind of maybe a little bit different than what you were used to?
Well, I don't think it was hard for me to accept, because I think his grind was he stayed on you. You know, he wasn't trying to force you. He was building confidence in me as a hitter. And for him to build that type of confidence in me as a hitter, I remember one year hitting like 15 home runs or something to the opposite field because of the fact of what he taught me about the difference of a left-hand pitcher throwing the ball hard and one that's throwing junk. He taught me how to get up in the box if you throwing all three pitches. If you throw a little bit hard, you sit a little deeper in the box and you let the ball get back a little deeper and you drive it the other way.
You know, this is Mets have quickly 2 outs with Chris Carter up. We talked to Daryl Strawberry. When you think of that team, you think of strong personalities. You think of brashness. There's some tough guys in that team, yourself included. Where did Kevin Mitchell stand in that bunch? As this one pops out, real quick straw on that.
Well, Kevin Mitchell, he stood out. We called him World, so he was all over the place. So, with his personality, and when we got into fights, Kevin Mitchell was down on the bottom of the pack trying to kill somebody.
Straw. Wish we had more time. We had a 20-minute inning last time. That was quick, but congrats to you today. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Kev.
Daryl Strawberry in the Hall of Fame. Mets down big.
Sixth inning, Diamondbacks with an 8-1 lead. Kelly Johnson leading off against Elmer Descends, who came on in relief of John Neese in the fifth. Boy, what an afternoon for John Neese. 3 no-hit innings, and then in the fourth, the roof caved in, and in the fifth, the rest of the house came down. Johnson has singled and walked and scored 2 runs. And he takes the change outside 1-2.
Well, they're playing the 6th game here against the Diamondbacks. Looks like they might drop 5 out of 6. 41 runs have been scored by the D-backs.
Well, we said going into that first series in Arizona, and again at the beginning of this one, they can hit sharply, and Cora's got that hop. But the Mets have been unable to respond enough other than last night. Let's check in with Chris Carlin, who's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break.
Volquez.
All right, Chris. Meanwhile, the Phillies and Nats are tied 2-2 in the 6th, but the big news there is Ryan Howard left the game with a sprained ankle in the first inning on a play at second base. Severity of the injury unknown, taken for x-rays. Swing and a miss by Justin Upton.
National League leader in RBIs. They've had their share of injuries, haven't they, the Phillies this year? Whoa.
Well, they still have Chase Utley out and Shane Victorino out. but they've been able to hold it together. 3.5 games out going into the day. Justin Upton 2 for 3 today, has extended his hitting streak to 17 games, and he's scored a pair of runs. The first 6 Arizona runs driven in on 2 swings of the bat by the guy on deck, Adam LaRoche. Hit sharply, and Reyes makes a nice snag. Up and firing. Second fine play by Reyes this afternoon. Got Reynolds on a similar play in the second.
2 bullets. There's the sign right there. Fastball in. Didn't get it in enough, and it was down, and there's been 2 rockets hit in this inning. 4-3 in your scorecard, and this one's 6-3. Nice play by Jose. Very nice.
So 2 out, and this time the base is clear for Adam LaRoche, who has crushed a couple of home runs and driven in a career high 6 runs today. And he hits another one well to center field. Back goes Pagan near the wall, and it's off the base of the 415. And LaRoche, robbed by Citi Field of a 3rd home run, will settle for a double.
Boy, whatever he had for breakfast, don't change it.
That's right. Oatmeal with some bananas. Unbelievable.
Just go right down the pipe fastball. May have been steak and eggs. Seriously, that's got to last you that whole game. You know, you got to have steak and eggs and have those hash browns and 2 pieces of wheat toast, and that'll fuel you through the game.
Orange juice and milk.
Orange juice and milk. Coffee. Don't forget the coffee. Most important.
Definitely coffee. So 2 out. LaRoche with his 3rd extra base hit in 3 innings at second base, and Mark Reynolds the batter. Reynolds has singled and walked 1 for 2. The Diamondbacks now with 8 runs and 9 hits. They have just crushed Met pitching for these 6 games. 1-1 to Reynolds. Here's the answer to our AT&T trivia question. The 5 first overall picks to hit at least 300 career homers. Well, you know Strawberry was one of them.
Junior.
Chipper Jones.
A-Rod. Chipper Jones. Harold Baines. Wow.
I forgot that Baines was a first overall pick.
That's how I played with Harold Baines. He is another guy with Al Oliver we talked about the other night, Keith.
Yep.
Another guy that you look at his numbers. Dougie, you got to get Harold Baines' numbers so we can take a look at those. That is on the fringe.
Well, the problem that Baines has, like Edgar Martinez, is he's spent a substantial part of his career as a DH.
It worked for Paul Molitor. He got in, but he got the 3,000 hits.
And Molitor also played the field quite a bit before he became a DH. Baines was a DH for really the majority of his career. Off the plate, and it's 2-2.
He played all those years with the White Sox too. They were they just didn't get the attention. The attention.
That's right.
Exactly.
One of the nicest guys I've ever played with. Just a real gentleman, and couldn't tell, but he had the strongest hands. All hitters have those strong hands anyway.
Reynolds reaches for one and lifts it to right. Feliciano is there, and that ends the inning. Middle of the 6th at Citi Field. 8-1 Arizona. Time for your Toyota text poll. Are you happy that the Mets held on to their prospects and didn't make any trades? A for yes, B for no. Text 57508 or visit sny.tv to express your opinion.
That'll be an interesting text.
Reyes is 0 for 2. He's had 2 fine defensive plays made against him by Ryle and by Johnson. Jose started the day with a 12-game hitting streak. Daniel Hudson, the beneficiary of all the runs. He contributed a couple with his first big league hit. And he's only thrown 73 pitches as he works here in the 6th inning. And Reyes takes a strike, 3-1.
7-run lead. The one thing you don't want to do is walk people.
Shallow left center, and in comes Ryle to call. And Reyes now 0 for 3.
You know, Ryle, for the infielder turned outfielder, seems as comfortable as anyone I've seen out there. Does a nice job.
So here's Feliciano, who started the game in left field, moved over to right. 1 for 2, single to center back in the first. Mets got their only 2 hits in this game in the first inning. With 1 out, Feliciano and Pagan singled back to back. But Hudson then struck out right, got Davis on a fly ball, and he has not allowed another hit. Mets got their run after a leadoff walk, a wild pitch, and a couple of fly balls, getting a run in the 4th.
That's just happening looking at the standings here, Gary, and you look at Baltimore. You look at Baltimore's got a .308 winning percentage. I mean, they're 8 points from getting under 300.
They're 40 games under 500.
Jeez. That is terrible.
Kelly Johnson throws out Feliciano, 2 out.
They're on a pace to maybe 50 wins is going to be their season.
They've got 32 wins. Pittsburgh has 36. Arizona has 38.
Maybe when the buck stops there on Tuesday, things will change.
What was the record of the Mets these days? 62?
40 and 120. And 2 games rained out. Mercifully.
Thank God. Mercifully. Oh, it was fun in 62. It had to be.
Well, I think it was fun at a certain point once they realized just how futile they were and they became lovable in a certain way. Casey Stengel had a lot to do with that. Mark Throneberry became a cult hero for his ineptitude.
Probably had a lot of games like this, Gary.
And, you know, the Mets spent their first years at the Polo Grounds. First year they drew under 1 million fans, but then it kind of caught on, and they never had any trouble attracting fans after that. Stephen Drew goes out to catch the pop-up by Pagan, who's retired for the first time today, and Hudson rolls on with an 8-1 lead after 6. Seventh inning, Rusty Ryle leads off against Elmer Descends, who begins his third inning of relief. Ryle 1 for 3, struck out and reached on a wild pitch, singled off Reyes's glove, reached on an error by David Wright. 3 entertaining ways to reach base. And this time it's 1 out to right for Feliciano. 1 out.
It's interesting when you watch a season, isn't it, guys? You look at a team that's in last place, the Diamondbacks. They've had a disastrous season. And going into the series in Arizona, you and I both said, how do they have such a bad team? Because they have great talent, they have great young talent. And then they show against the Mets what kind of team they could be.
Well, it's their pitching,
yeah,
which is ranks was one of the Major League Baseball's worst. Also, with teams like this, there's no pressure coming to the ballpark when you're out of it. You know, you can come and be footloose and fancy free.
I think the other thing, too, the way the game is set up in today's game, if your bullpen gets off to a tough start, it can really, it's like a cancer with the team. You know, you continually get a lead and you give it up. You continually have a ninth inning lead, you're going to win a ball game, you don't win the ball game. I think those things can really defeat a team.
One and 2 to Stephen Drew. You know, the Washington Nationals decided to hang on to Adam Dunn at the trading deadline. He just homered off Cole Hamels to give the Nats a 4-2 lead in the 6th.
How many home runs does he have now, Gary?
25.
So he has 15 more.
Drew hits one to deep right. Feliciano gives a courtesy glance, but that's well back in the Pepsi porch.
Good Lord.
Stephen Drew with his 5th home run of the year, and the Diamondbacks just keep on hitting home runs. 9-1 Arizona.
Break them up.
He must have had breakfast with LaRoche.
Well, interesting stat here on the Diamondbacks. As bad, as miserable as the season as they're having. Here's the pitch. Just fastball right down the pipe upstairs. Diamondbacks, after today, they win this game, are going to be 13-12 against the National League East. Everybody else, they're in Gary's words, they're dreadful.
13-12, but they'd be 5-1 against the Mets and under 500 against the rest of the game.
Yeah, well.
John Hester's walked twice and lined out to center field in his first game since being recalled.
Drew's ball was a bomb.
Seems every home run the Diamondbacks have hit against the Mets over the last 2 seasons has been a bomb.
Yes.
Going back to Reynolds in this ballpark last year. The one Upton hit in Arizona this year.
Oh, Reynolds hit one too, and then left center.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Right. By the way, speaking of home runs, did you see the home run that Carlos Gonzalez hit last night to cap off his cycle and win the game for Colorado?
It was great. I think one of the announcers said, boy, it'd be interesting to cap off a cycle with a home run walk-off. No sooner said than boom, gone.
Into the 3rd deck in right field at Coors Field, 462 feet. Wow. Now that's how you end a game. Not exactly your wall scraper.
Boy, it hurts someone pitcher's feelings when you do that. The only time I ever looked to the board to see how far a home run was, it was pitching against the Chicago White Sox, and it was a 0-0 game to the top of the 9th inning. Pitching against Greg Hibbert. I don't know if you guys remember him, a little lefty. And Bo Jackson hit a home run off me to win the game. And I had to look back, and it was 478 feet in Chicago, in the new Comiskey, or whatever they call it.
Was he the strongest man you've ever played against?
He's the greatest athlete that ever played this game, I'll tell you that. I mean, you know, there's been... He's a guy that was a football player, but decided to play baseball. You know, Deion Sanders did too. That hadn't played any baseball. He played a little in high school, never played in college, and just came out, and it was just a natural thing for him. He could have played any sport.
Let me tell you a story about Bo Jackson, Garrett. They're playing the Royals, I'm in Cleveland, obviously. And he hits a ground ball in the hole to shortstop. And the throws to my left down the line towards, I have to stretch towards home.
Yeah.
I heard him like a thundering herd running to first base, and I peeked out of the corner of my eye, and he was a foot inside the line. And I was scared he was going to hit me. And he didn't. Thank goodness he didn't. He brought it back into the line, and he went right by me. I felt the wind go by me. And I said, if he'd have hit, he'd knocked me in the next county. And that was the only time I ever was scared of throwing ball. True story.
He was.
He could do everything. He could run. He had the greatest arm. He had the greatest power. Can you imagine if he had concentrated on baseball? He could have been Babe Ruth.
Never know. We'll never know.
3-2 to Hester.
Remember the year he was voted to the All-Star team, and people were saying, how could they vote him to the All-Star team? First pitch, Rick Russell hits it over everything in Anaheim Stadium.
1989.
I remember he put such a little swing on it, and Russell looked back, and everyone in the stadium was, wow, human beings can't do that.
Bo knows. Hester hits one deep to left field. Carter gives a look, and that's gone into the second deck. And the Diamondbacks are just teeing off.
Wow. Have to get the humidor going.
That's John Hester's second major league home run, his first this year. And he just tattooed it. Back-to-back homers for Drew and Hester, and they were both just crushed. 10-1.
Oh, that's a fastball in, running in. He just turned on it. Up in the strike zone. That ball wasn't out over the plate.
Now the pitcher, Hudson, takes a strike. 6 games for the Diamondbacks against the Mets. 43 runs, 72 hits, 11 homers, 28 extra base hits, and this one isn't over. Hudson, who has a hit and 2 RBIs today, grounds out to Reyes for the second out.
It's a hanging slider, Keith.
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought it was a sinker.
Let's see. Hard to tell, right?
I think it was a fastball.
IOTV pitch differential. It was right in the middle. It looked like a helicopter to me.
Raul Valdez gets up in the Mets bullpen.
Well, you being the pitcher, I'll defer to you. That was a.
You being the hitter, you should know that it's a helicopter.
Chris Young is yet to join the party. He's 0 for 4 today. He had one to the center field fence back in the 5th that Pagan caught right up against the wall. Has any Diamondbacks hitter moved his feet in this series?
No, they've been very locked in, very comfortable. Yeah, it's something that if you look at this series, all 6 games, and you try to evaluate it, I think Danny's going to have to probably go to the whip and say, hey, boys, we're going to have to get these guys off the plate a little bit.
Reyes throws out Young to end the inning, but back-to-back homers for Drew and Hester expand the Arizona lead to 10-1.
Hall of Fame Day. In a way, this is a birthday party, but in every way, it is truly a celebration.
Well, that was the first Mets Hall of Fame Day back in 1981. Today, the Mets celebrated Hall of Fame Day in grand fashion, welcoming 4 new members: Dwight Gooden, Daryl Strawberry, Davey Johnson, and Frank Cashin. Things have not gone well since these ceremonies as far as the Mets are concerned, but that was quite a day today. You'll find a number of significant enhancements out at Citi Field this season thanks to the quality and skill of New York City Union carpenters and contractors. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt for more.
Area that with a 10-1 score. Now it's a good time to go to the Mets Hall of Fame, by the way, which is beautiful downstairs. Now 25 plaques with the 4 new inductees today. But besides that, the cool thing, there's some really neat jerseys you could check out. You go down there, see Tug McGraw, Casey Stengel, Tom Seaver, that David Rice jersey from the home opener here at Citi Field last year when he hit that home run. So that's another nice thing. But now that the new plaques are unveiled, you got to go check out the plaques as well. Right on the wall on the left side when you walk in. There's so many things to see in the Mets Hall of Fame. I go for the jerseys and the plaques, of course, today on Hall of Fame Day. Guys, back to you.
Well, the Hall of Fame here at Citi Field just keeps getting better and better.
I told you, I think I've told you guys at home that I've been there a few times, and it's just amazing. And I mean, it's so good that every time that my friends come in town from, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, they come to a Met game, I always tell them, you have to bring your kids there. You got to walk through there before you come up here and bother us.
Bob. Kidding. Not your people. David Riley is up for the home 7th and fouls one off. David has struck out, and then the fly ball into the right field corner was caught. Mets have not had a hit since the first inning. And David pops an easy one up for LaRoche. One away. That's 10 in a row retired by Daniel Hudson since a walk to Pregame leading off the 4th. And that walk is the Mets' only base runner since the first inning. Hudson's retired 18 of the last 19.
11 balls in the air for outs.
You're right, only 3 base runners.
Meanwhile, the Mets have allowed 10 or more runs for the 8th time this season, so it hasn't gone well on either side. Ike Davis has driven in the only run for the Mets with a sacrifice fly.
And this is a guy who walked the world before the start today. And I think that's something that, I don't know, has trended since the All-Star break, that the Mets are not getting a lot of walks, not working a lot of counts. They have a lot of the same kind of hitters, very aggressive, want to hit early in the count.
Well, I would argue that it goes back a little further than the All-Star break, because I think that when the Mets were hot late May all through June, they were very aggressive, and it was paying off.
Yes.
But when you're not getting hits, you need those walks to help build runs.
They're playing against the lambs of the league, though, Baltimore and Cleveland. I mean, that's a very good point.
Mike Hessman out on deck to pinch hit with the pitcher in the 6th hole. I mean, the Mets for the season are 14th in the National League in on-base percentage. Beautiful diving stop by LaRoche. Boy, is he having a day.
Well, he is a good fielder. Now, whatever he can get to, he hasn't got the greatest of range. He's kind of a gangly type player. I think that Ike Davis and him are very similar players. But he can pick it. He's got good hands. Anything he gets to, he makes the plays. And he's good with the glove as far as scoops. He's one of the better first basemen in the league.
I think Ike has more range, though. Don't you agree? Ike has a little more range.
Yeah, but I think they're the same type of player. They're gawky, and they're not real dart and dashers.
Angular.
Yep.
So here's Mike Hessman pinch hitting for Descends.
We don't always comment, and we should. Mike McClinsky behind the plate has had an outstanding game. He's been assertive. If he doesn't like the pitch, he says ball inside. You can hear it from up here. It's nice.
Well, if you can hear it from up here in a day game and you got a headache, it's murder.
Has been 2 hits and 8 at bats since joining the Mets.
It is Hall of Fame weekend.
And talk about when you were playing,
Oliver Perez getting ready in the Mets bullpen to be the mop-up guy in the 8th.
That was Dutch Rendered. Remember, he was Dutch Rendered calls on a day game in Wrigley. If you were out late, oh, Dutch, tone it down.
Has been down on strikes. Daniel Hudson's excellent afternoon continues. That's his 4th strikeout. He's retired 12 in a row. Here comes Ollie. Ankle. Phillies trail Washington 4-3 with the Nats going for the sweep. James Shields and the Rays outclassing CC Sabathia and the Yankees so far 3-0 after 6. And the RBI trouble by Brandon Phillips has the Reds and Edison Volquez ahead of the Braves 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Oliver Perez for the first time at Citi Field since being activated.
Well, there's the New York Community Bank numbers on Oliver this season. Has not pitched in 8 days. Last time he pitched was in Los Angeles. And you know what? It's an opportunity, right, for Oliver to come in here, pitch a couple of innings, and show how he has progressed. Castillo at second base.
Cora moves over to short, and Mike Hessman stays in at third. David Wright gets a couple of innings off.
You know, it's indescribable to say what's happened to Oliver here in the last year and a half. But it's a chance for him, an opportunity for him to show his manager that he belongs on the field more often.
Bobby Crosby making his Diamondbacks debut pinch hits. Former American League Rookie of the Year, acquired from Pittsburgh at the trading deadline.
You know, Max, I was living in Northern California at the time when he won that Rookie of the Year. I was living in Danville, which is kind of a suburb of San Francisco, and I thought this guy was going to be the next A-Rod kind of player. That's how good he was his rookie year. Injuries, though, have befell him.
Mike Hessman calling, and Crosby retired in his first Arizona at bat. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Wow. Well, that's certainly good news for the Phillies. Now we'll see just how serious the sprain is. Gerardo Parra is batting for Justin Upton, who went 2 for 4 today, extending his hitting streak to 17 games. I presume they're not going to pinch hit for LaRoche.
No. He's having a historic game.
John Neese went 4 1/3, allowed 7 runs, 6 of them earned on 7 hits. Elmer descends 2 2/3, 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 4 hits. And now Perez pitching the 8th. darts the fastball for a strike, but you know, that fastball's 86.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When Oliver first came over, he was throwing 94, 95, wasn't he? Or maybe a little lower than that.
Maybe 93 consistently.
Throwing hard enough.
Hard enough. There you go.
Much more than what he's throwing now. That's for sure.
So the question is, has it been the knee or is it something else?
It's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that, Gary. I know that for myself, the drop in miles per hour was just attrition. You know, once I got to the 2,300 inning mark, it just body starts to break down.
How old were you then?
I was probably 1989. I won 14 games. 1990, 1991 is when the first time that I noticed that I'd get on a guy and I'd throw it up in the strike zone. They foul it off and I go, oh, did not have enough on that pitch, and it's a little scary.
Ara with a base hit. Hit number 12 for the Diamondbacks. Well, here's Adam LaRoche, who's had a monster day with a pair of 3-run homers.
And a double. That would have been a third home run in Arizona. In most ballparks, hit in the deepest part of the park. There's the IOTV pitch differential on the first home run. That's right down Broadway on a hanging cutter. And it's also belt high. And there's our IOTV pitch differential. Same spot, right over the middle. Ditto.
It ruined John Neese's day. Roche with a career-high 6 RBIs today, getting him up to 70 for the year. That'll get him in the top 10 in the league in runs batted in. Last Diamondback with 3 home runs in a game was Connor Jackson, who did it last year in Colorado. Diamondbacks record for RBIs in a game is 9. Rubiel Durazo, who was a comet on the scene back in the early part of the last decade.
Mets is 9 too, right? Delgado?
Delgado at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And LaRoche goes down. Oh, no, they said he did not swing. Wow. As the ball got away and Ara moves on a wild pitch.
I don't think there's anything Tolley could have done here. You know what he could do, though? He could get that glove out of the way. Really try to block it with your body. The glove is always going to serve as a carom to send that ball away from you, not help you.
And LaRoche lifts one to left. Chris Carter surrounds it. And that's the second out. Now Mark Reynolds, who is 1 for 3 and a walk.
Well, he's the only guy who hasn't hit one out of the ballpark that you thought would. A big series last year, 4 home runs in 3 games. I know it's a 4-game series, but he only played in 3 games.
There might have been a few seasons worth of visiting home runs. He drives this one to center field. It knuckles on Pagan and drops in for a hit. Around third comes Parra, and he'll come in to score. So Reynolds drives in an additional run to make it 11-1. Pagan got confused by that ball. He has not had a good day in center field.
Fastball up. You're right. That ball just kind of sunk in there.
Watch Parra. He's fooled too. Breaks it down. Oh,
what's he thinking?
Get a ribeye steak, brother.
He did not realize there were 2 out.
I think
thought it was going to be caught. That's what he thought it was going to be caught.
Cadillac City.
That's what happens when you think.
No place for thinking in this game.
No, don't dare.
Well, it sounded earlier like Daryl was accusing you of doing a lot of thinking.
That's true. Very flattering. Shucks.
Davey also said you were telling the pitchers what to throw.
But no one ever paid me any mind. The pitchers never paid me any mind. I tell Bobby Ojeda to throw a fastball, and all he threw left-handed was slider. So just don't bust him in. He'd shake his head. at me. Go slider.
He did go 18-5, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Didn't Dwight commit a balk because you screamed at him or something?
Yes, that cost him a game in Philadelphia.
He struck out 16 that game, didn't he?
It was ironic too, because it was Pete Rose was up, bases were runner was on first, and 2 outs, and the bases were loaded, I believe.
Yeah, base loaded.
And Doc went in his windup, so the runner Rose hit a double in the gap, and the runner scored from first. I remember I told Doc, you got to go on your stretch. That didn't cost him the game. It cost him 3 runs. Then we went to Philly, and you know what? My memory is betraying me here. He went into his stretch, and I told him to step off, and he
step off and go from the stretch.
Yeah, and he balked coming off, and that cost the game. The run came in, and I felt terrible about that. I went to the game, and I apologized to him, and he just said, "Hey, you won me so many games over the years." And that was his comment back to me. I'll never forget that. He goes, don't worry about it.
Oliver Perez strikes out Rusty Ryle to end the inning. Diamondbacks tack on a run against Ollie and lead 11-1.
Did you?
Special features, scouting reports, and exclusive interviews on the Baseball Show presented by Harrah's every afternoon only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Well, we asked in our Toyota text poll, are you happy that the Mets held on to their prospects and didn't make trades? And the majority says yes, they are happy with that.
That's a good thing.
Well,
I know I met fans.
I said that yesterday on the air, and a lot of people who talked to me after the game said, what is that? We're not happy. Well, 53% are happy.
I thought it'd be higher, to tell you the truth.
Did you really?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be about 60-40.
See, I thought it was going to be 60-40 against.
Oh, really?
Based on backlash.
Oh, just people want.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There was so much action yesterday. Sometimes, especially we live in this world of fantasy baseball leagues, sometimes people just want action just to have action.
I mean, not worrying about the consequences.
Exactly.
Well, Daniel Hudson, in his Arizona Diamondbacks debut, has given Arizona reason for hope. They traded away Edwin Jackson, and they got back Hudson in the deal. And in his 6th major league start, he's allowed just 2 hits, none since the 1st inning. And has retired 20 of the last 21 to face him. Tolle with a weak ground ball. Reynolds with the charge, and a nice scoop by LaRoche at first base. Everything's going right for LaRoche.
Wow.
Yes, sir. It's one of those days. What did you say, Ryan? Were those Little League days?
Little League days. Everything coming up roses. Throw a shutout, hit 2 out of the ballpark, scoop everything. That's not an easy one.
That's not an easy one. He's sure gloved over there. I've always liked him. I think he's a very underrated player.
I don't think I've ever heard that expression before, but it applies. Sure gloved. I like that.
Oh, you never heard that one before?
I don't think so. Sure-handed.
I heard it all the time. People always told me I'm a sure glove.
Sure glove?
Very nice. There's your PPG Pittsburgh Paint overhead camera.
Lenny Dykstra used to always say for players that are not good defensive players, he said, dude, they're allergic to the leather. That was his line.
Yeah, I didn't think it was yours. Alex Cora has popped up and struck out 0 for 2. Flare out to left field, and Ryle will watch it fall foul. No, the Mets have had a habit over the last few weeks of making unknown pitchers look like Cy Young. It certainly happened in Arizona when they faced Barry Enright, and it has happened here today against Daniel Hudson, who got strafed in 2 of his 3 starts for the White Sox before the trade.
But for you guys out there and young girls that are pitching, when you have a big lead, Hudson's done exactly what you're supposed to do. Throw strikes, pound in and out, and make the put in play.
Ends up under the chair of the ball boy.
Uh-oh, Charlie's going to get all over him. Chaz, where are you?
Anthony got out of the way. He just didn't grab the chair.
Well, Charlie has been very ornery lately, especially on day games. I'm sure that kid is very much worried about going in that clubhouse when this game's over.
Day games and travel days.
That's right. Charlie will have him folding towels late.
By the way, that ball was in play until the fan picked it up.
Because that chair's in play, right?
Chair is in play. So here's Chris Carter. So that snaps a string of 13 in a row retired by Daniel Hudson. Carter popped up in his only at bat. Came on a double switch in the 5th inning. For the Mets, their first hit since the 1st inning. So Luis Castillo on deck. Jerry Manuel took Reyes and Wright out of the game when the score got terribly lopsided. Hudson at 100 pitches for the day and falls behind Carter 3-0.
Nice ball to strike ratio.
He's had a few 3-0 counts, but he's only had 1 walk.
Seems that every time he's 3-0, he throws a strike 3-1 to get a 3-1, and then their next pitch is a pop-up somewhere.
Out to left field, chasing Ryle back to the edge of the track to reel it in. 2 out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Pepsi Refresh Project. Every time you choose Pepsi, you support the Pepsi Refresh Project. By Capital One, what's in your wallet? And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is the great Pat Cauley of Glendale.
He is the great Pat Cauley.
Esmerling Vasquez up in the Arizona bullpen. They've gone to the 9th inning in Cincinnati with the Reds leading the Braves 2-1. Mets will be in Atlanta tomorrow night. Raul Valdez up in the Mets bullpen. The Mets started the day 6.5 behind the Braves. Castillo batting for the first time. So it's there for the Mets over the next coming days. 3 with the Braves and 3 with the Phillies to try and fight their way back into a better position over the final 7-8 weeks of the season.
You know, every day in the calendar that kind of ticks off as you see the probable starters. What a nice matchup for you guys tomorrow in Atlanta. Santana and Hudson that first day. Dickey Lowe, and then Pelfrey and Medlin in that 3rd game.
I like Dickey in that the middle game.
Yeah.
That could be a critical game. Santana wins the opener, and you've got Dickey coming in red hot with the knuckleball, with a little sense of urgency on the Braves to win that game and facing a knuckleballer. I like that matchup, the sequence.
Two to Castillo, and he slashes one foul. Well, this series, and these 6 games against Arizona have been an awful disappointment for this club. The one advantage they had in the schedule coming in to the second half of the year is because they had 20 games against the 3 worst teams in the league, Arizona, Houston, and Pittsburgh. Now they've squandered their 6 against Arizona, presumably, unless they have an enormous rally in them today, losing 5 out of 6.
What do they have? 7 against Pittsburgh and Houston left, right? 14.
Well, the next road trip after Atlanta, Philly is Houston, Pittsburgh. Bobby Crosby playing second base, throws out Castillo, and that does it for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th. It's been all Arizona. Ninth inning, Stephen Drew leads off. Last time we saw Stephen Drew, he was hitting one into the second deck in right field in the 7th inning for his 5th home run of the year. One of 4 home runs the Diamondbacks have hit today, tying the most given up by the Mets this year. 3rd time this year they've given up 4 home runs in a game. Last time was back on May 14th against Florida. Well, Daniel Hudson certainly had himself as good an Arizona debut as the Diamondbacks could have hoped for. 1 run on 3 hits over 8 innings.
Making the general manager look good.
Hudson making just his 6th big league start today, his 4th this year. And he was terrific. Meanwhile, the Mets, who pulled one out last night, winning in their final turn at bat, have now gone 5 weeks without winning back-to-back games. The last time the Mets won back-to-back games was June 22nd and 23rd against the Tigers.
That's a wow. That's a nice age ago, isn't it? Seems like it.
The last time they had a longer stretch was 1993, a year they lost 103 games. Leadoff walk from Perez to Stephen Drew. And now John Hester, who crushed his 1st home run of the year into the second deck in left field his last time up. It's 5 walks today by Met pitchers, who've also given up 13 hits. 1-1 to Hester. And he lines one to left field. And he's got his second hit of the day. Hester on base for the 4th straight time. Drew going to 3rd and makes it easily. And that'll allow Hester to go to 2nd, where he arrives safely.
Well, good hustling here by the D-backs. Fastball down the pipe. Carter's got to realize that he's got to go to second base with that ball.
Might have been out, except that Castillo dropped the ball. So it's a single, second on the throw, 2 in scoring position now, and Augie Ojeda will bat for the pitcher Hudson. And the Mets will not bother bringing the infield in, just trying to get this thing over with.
And they won't bother getting anybody up. Oliver is going to be out there until he gets 3 outs.
Yep. Well, this is the role of the mop-up man, to save the bullpen. And that is Ollie's role now. Ojeda floats one into center. That'll fall for a hit. Drew comes in to score. Hester trots over to 3rd. 12-1 Arizona.
Well, I hate to get picky here, but Hester just had a terrible read on that ball. I can maybe understand if it's a tight ball game, but it's, you know, you're talking 12-1.
I mean, as soon as that ball off the bat, it's a dork. It's 2 RBIs, taking away an RBI stake.
Watch him right here. Oh, how about that? How about that?
Wow.
That's your best spot shadow of the year.
Fancy.
Hey. I'm working here.
1st and 3rd and nobody out, and Chris Young the batter. Young is already 0 for 5 in this game. Talk about not invited to the party.
That got oohs and ahs in the truck too, you know.
It's over in Cincinnati. The Reds beat the Braves 2-1. Edison Volquez gets his 2nd win since coming back from injury and suspension.
Started the game for the Braves. Tommy Hanson?
It was Hanson. He went 7 1/3.
Hanson's been having nothing but difficulties of late. So that's a good sign for Atlanta. Hanson's a bit of a dart thrower, isn't he?
He is. He's having kind of a strange season. He's had some 3 or 4 really bad games that have kind of shaded his statistics.
And that's lined into left center for a base hit. Young has his first hit of the day. That chases home Hester. Ojeda goes to 3rd. 13-1. Weekdays on SNY. Get on the New York Sports Local. It's your direct line to the day's top New York sports stories, straight from a team of diverse personalities as passionate about New York sports as you are. Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouths, all part of the New York Sports Local. Weekdays starting at 5 on SNY. There's Bobby Crosby up for the 2nd time. Popped up as a pinch hitter in the 8th. Stayed in at second base. And takes a rip at Ollie's fastball. 0-1. A walk and 3 hits to start the 9th inning, after Perez gave up 2 hits and a run in the 8th. And Raul Valdez back up in the Mets bullpen. So I guess nothing is forever.
Interesting to have Raul up. You would think that there's no reason. You got a big series coming up. Got some left-handers like Hayward that you have to get out.
That's right.
Let Oliver stay out there. It's the nature of the job.
This game is over. You need to be marshaling your resources for tomorrow.
That's right. Don't let him look over his shoulder and think that he's going to get bailed out here.
Yeah.
You know, knuckle, get tough and finish it.
And now Ollie behind, 3-1 on Crosby, with Gerardo Parra on deck.
The other thing that causes alarm with Ollie now is that in the past, when he had a bad game, it usually consisted of inability to throw strikes and walks, and very rarely would give up hits or back-to-back hits, and that has become a thing of the past.
Crosby hits one deep to left. Carter back onto the warning track. Tagging up at 3rd. And coming on in is Ojeda. with the third run of the inning to make it 14-1. Sacrifice fly for Bobby Crosby, his first RBI as a Diamondback.
He just missed that one. The high fastball, watch him just nice level swing, just got under it enough.
So now Gerardo Parra up for the second time. Singled and scored in the 8th against Perez. 14 runs and 16 hits for the Diamondbacks. 1 run and 3 hits for New York.
Well, the Mets haven't had a lot of hits in the series, right?
Well, they had 7 hits yesterday in their 5-4 win. 7 hits in the first game. The problem with the Mets offense right now is they have only a few players going.
Yeah, they're top heavy, aren't they?
Today they've been empty. Singles by Feliciano and Pagan in the first, a double by Corey in the 8th, and that's all. In there for a call, third strike, so Parra down looking, and Ollie has his second strikeout and gets the sarcastic roar of approval.
Little curve, a lot of plays.
So 2 out of the inning. Now Adam LaRoche, who has a pair of 3-run homers and a double today, 3 for 5. A career high 6 RBIs for LaRoche. That's here with a man aboard. So the Mets will lose no ground today to the Braves and stay 6.5 back, but they could lose ground in the standings if Florida wins today. The Marlins will pass the Mets by and go ahead of them into 3rd place.
So then there's 3 teams you have to climb over.
Florida playing in San Diego. They're just getting started. Facing John Garland today. I thought it was an odd trading deadline for the Marlins in that they traded away such an important piece in Jorge Cantu and yet went out of their way to go acquire a left-handed reliever.
Will Oman.
It's almost like are they feeling as though they're in it or not?
Yeah, that was honestly it was a strange move. Maybe we just value Cantu more than they do because he does such a great job against the Mets.
So with Coghlan already out of the lineup, that just
that's
really shorthand.
Well, Morrison, they have the youngster in left field. Stanton's in right field. Ross is still getting most of the play in center field.
And now they've got Helms playing third base. That's the puzzling part. It's not as though they had anybody to replace him there. Two to LaRoche, and the breaking ball low and away. 3-2. Oliver's thrown 45 pitches in his 2 innings of relief. Now Young will be running as Perez tries to put this top of the 9th to bed. Not yet.
LaRoche has got a very interesting swing. It's almost as though it's Reynolds on deck. Almost the same plane almost every time, isn't it, Keith? He kind of just throws his hands over there in the middle part of the plate. If you hit his bat, he's got some pop.
He's a low ball hitter. So there's a lot of similarities with him and Ike Davis that I see.
In the air to left, and Carter coming in. That retires the side. The Diamondbacks tack on 3. Mets come up in the bottom of the 9th. It's 14-1. coverage of today's Mets-Diamondbacks matchup, plus interviews, highlights, and recaps of everything New York sports on Geico Sports Night tonight at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. only on SNY. Tomorrow the Mets hit the road and head to Atlanta for some division rivalry as they start their series against the Braves at Turner Field. Mets-Braves tomorrow at 6:30 only on SNY. Last of the ninth, Jesus Feliciano takes a strike. Mark Reynolds moves from third base to first base. Augie Ojeda now in at third after pinch hitting. And Esmerling Vasquez trying to finish off the Mets.
Well, Vasquez's numbers here, they're not impressive. A lot of hits, a lot of walks. That's the killer.
The starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks today, Daniel Hudson, in his initial start as a D-back, through 110 pitches over 8 innings, allowed a run on 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and a wild pitch. And the Diamondbacks have got to be pleased with what they saw today. Augie Ojeda on the warning track to grab it. First down in the last of the ninth. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I think it'll be interesting tomorrow to see how the Braves react to Johan Santana. Think back his last start this past time out. Cardinals were very aggressive against him early in counts, jumping on the fastball. Now, he had a great month before that, but the last really tough start he had was against Minnesota, and they were ultra patient against him, just waiting out that changeup, taking walks, things like that. Well, the Braves continue to struggle offensively. That's why they brought it in part Rick Ankiel, hoping to get some offense out of the outfield. But one thing they've done is they've drawn a lot of walks, 419 walks on the year. That's tied for the Yankees for the most in Major League Baseball. As a team, they've got a .343 on-base percentage. So I think it'll be curious to see how they go ahead and attack Johan Santana tomorrow. From an offensive side, Troy Glaus, who had carried them really for a month and a half, has been ice cold. Last month, Glaus hitting 158. No home runs in that time. Guys, back to you.
It's really since the middle of June, Glaus has cooled down significantly since he got hurt. Pagan lifts one out to center field, and Young squeezes it for the second out.
Well, they'll be missing a big piece in Prado, who's gone on the disabled list. Although Omar Infante has always hit well against the Mets. Chipper Jones, is not the same player he was before, but they got some nice young talent, and Hayward is just outstanding. McCann has hit the ball pretty well the last month.
A big load has fallen on Hayward's shoulders now. We'll see how he handles it at age 20. Here's Beltran with 2 out of the ninth, pinch hitting, and he rockets one past LaRoche, or actually Reynolds. See, if it was LaRoche, the game would be over because he's caught everything today and hit everything. But Carlos has a pinch hit single to keep the Mets going. Right after the game today, be sure to join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for Lincoln Mercury Post-Game Live. They'll break it down.
Good luck. That show better be an hour today.
A lot to talk about today. John Neese started out well today, but then the roof caved in on him in the 4th and 5th innings, and things have not gotten better. Mets have not played well defensively. They haven't hit a lick, just a run on 4 hits today.
Well, taken out of this game early. Game was by all rights at 5-run 5th. Took them right out of it, 8-1.
Well, the Mets played 6 games against the Diamondbacks, and this is the second game they've had like this.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a phone call game in Arizona. Ike Davis keeps it alive with a base hit. Beltran takes a turn and holds at second. So Ike, who's driven in the only Met run today, now has his first hit of the afternoon. So 2 out and 2 on, and now Mike Hessman comes up for the second time. Struck out as a pinch hitter in the 7th and then stayed in the game at third base. Phillies and Nats go to the 9th. They're tied 4-4. Biggest news to come out of that game is the injury to Ryan Howard. X-rays negative on his ankle after he sprained it trying to get back into second base after taking a turn. Mets will go to Philadelphia after going to Atlanta. So an enormous week coming up for the Mets, and then they come home to play Colorado and Philadelphia week after next. The Rockies are in a very similar position to the Mets in that they're hanging around the fringes of the race in the National League West. But they sure got a shot in the arm last night from Carlos Gonzalez, didn't they?
Oh, you're talking about that other route when the Diamondbacks scored 13. Now 47 runs in the 6-game series.
Nearly 8 runs per game. Now the Diamondbacks are a good offensive team, but they're not that good. But they have just whipped up on Met pitching. And they have hit some bombs. Two and one to Hessman. And he fouls one away, and now the Mets are down to their last strike of the afternoon.
Nice catch on the carom. So you never know what's going to happen if you stay all 9 innings.
Well, you certainly have a better chance for a foul ball as the crowd starts to dissipate. Hessman down swinging, and the ball game is over. So a day that began wrapped in nostalgic glory ends with a dismal performance by the Mets as they drop the series to the Diamondbacks and lose 5 out of 6 in the season series to lowly Arizona.
Well, Kirk Gibson and his crew must feel like they wish they played the Mets every day as they have beat up on them. Vasquez cleaning up. The great job by Daniel Hudson today. 8 strong innings. Jonathan Neese giving up the 2 3-run home runs to LaRoche really was the difference.
And they banged out, the Arizona Diamondbacks banged out 16 hits, but the hitting star was Adam LaRoche. 2 home runs, 2 3-run shots in the back in the 4th and the 5th inning. Really blew the game out for the Mets.
There's your out-of-game summary. All Diamondbacks all day long. Daniel Hudson, 8 innings in his first start as a D-back. Adam LaRoche with a career-high 6 runs batted in, and the Diamondbacks shellacked the Mets 14-1. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in a moment.